Dear God. Oh, dear God!
He lost his parents in a car crash, and afterward he let go of all the household staff because he couldn't afford to pay them. He chose to live alone and handle all chores himself, but every attempt turned into a complete disaster. Following a string of failures, he began to wonder how he would manage everything on his own. That's when a beautiful maid knocked on his door, offering her services for free. Yuri explained that he was broke and couldn't pay her, but she insisted on working without payment. Initially hesitant, he eventually agreed to hire her after becoming captivated by her eyes.
Not again! Not again!
However, she was unlike any previous maid. Everything she cooked was exceptionally delicious, and the house sparkled like never before when she cleaned. He asked her if she was a magician, to which she humorously agreed, claiming he was under her spell. Yuri took her joke seriously and began to concoct baseless theories. The maid excused herself to shop for dinner, reflecting on how her attempt to lighten the mood hadn't gone well. Things had happened so quickly that he hadn't had much chance to discern her true intentions. He wondered if she really was a magician and what her motives were for coming to an empty mansion. When the maid noticed him spying, she asked if he had finished his homework. Yuri reminds himself that he is the owner of the mansion, and rather than speculate, he can demand she tell him the truth. He asked what she planned to do today, and she answered that she would be making an egg rice bowl, which made Yuri jump with excitement. But he restrained himself and clarified that he wasn't asking about lunch, but why she came to this mansion. She couldn't help but giggle at him, and when he asked why, she said it was because his look was too cute. And
That's strike one. That's strike one. You're the child pedophile.
Couldn't resist laughing. Yuri believed that even if he thought she was cute,
Hi buddies, we've got a new game to play. It was born to be famous. It is a multiplayer MMO mobile game developed by a legendary
this YouTube after all. I'm gonna have some censorship.
developer.
cute, and she couldn't resist laughing. Yuri believed that even if he thought she was cute, he wouldn't giggle like her, and no matter how charming she was, he wouldn't be deceived by her. He pressed her about her real reasons for coming, to which she responded it was better to keep it a secret. He thought about her incessantly to the point that she even appeared in his dreams every night. Needing a drink of water, he went to the kitchen and saw the light was still on. Fearing intruders, he considered waking the maid, but by then the burglars might be gone. So as the master of the house, he mustered the courage to enter the kitchen fully prepared, only to find Lily preparing something while holding a book. In the morning, she served him breakfast, which was delicious as usual. Remembering his dream, Yuri asked her what suspicious thing she was putting in his food. He questioned what she was doing in the kitchen late at night. She teased him that she indeed had put something in his food to make him fall for her, and that it was what's commonly known as a love potion. Yuri's theories began to...
Strike two, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's 11. I think you should know that, just judged on his appearance. And you're subjecting him to love potions. That's illegal, ma'am.
Fire up, believing the reason he found her cute and couldn't function properly when she looked at him was all because of her love potion, which made her blush deeply. In truth, she wanted to make the food as high quality as possible, so she had been staying up late learning to cook, but she didn't know how to explain this to him. He made it clear that no love potions were allowed in his food from now on, and she reluctantly agreed. The more he thought about it, the more he believed she was still hiding something. But honestly, he didn't know much about her. While she knew almost everything about him, what food he liked and his dislikes, but he didn't even know her name. When he called her, the maid asked how she could help him, mentioning his name for the first time, which made him uncomfortable and suspicious. When he asked why she was calling him by his name all of a sudden, she said that there's nothing unusual about a maid addressing her employer by his name, but Yuri reacted strongly to it, making her ask if he was embarrassed. However, Yuri thought she...
Strike three, based on that pose. Ignore that.
was acting as if they were married because his parents used to call each other by name since they were in love. The maid said she didn't mean it quite like that and excused herself to go shopping for dinner, which made him more suspicious. Because if she knew his name, then she surely had access to his private information, which she could use against him, possibly selling online or to the wrong hands. He decided to do some research to learn more about her than she knew about him. He found out her name was Lily, and now he finally had something to use against her. He wanted her to call him by his name, but she just called him Master. Yuri asked if she was not going to call him by his name, and she told him that they would become close if she did that, but he told her that merely...
Another pose, strike four. Now strike 3.
Saying someone's name wouldn't make them closer. His parents were in love, but they also knew a lot more about each other than just their names. But here the situation was totally different because he didn't even know the first thing about her. He showed interest in knowing more about her by saying her name for the first time, making her blush. But he clarified that it doesn't mean he trusts her yet and he would soon expose her. The next day, Lily woke Yuri by giving him new clothes to wear and serving him breakfast when the doorbell rang. Yuri wondered who it was early in the morning and was surprised to find a new limited edition game that was out of stock. Now he was suspicious why Lily was buying him new clothes and giving presents all of a sudden. Maybe it's her way of gaining control over him, and Lily teases him that it indeed is the case and she will win him over.
Number 4. Burger King Foot.
Yuri was studying in his room but couldn't focus properly as Lily kept interrupting him repeatedly, asking if he wanted anything. To end the interruptions, he had Lily stay by his side, so neither of them would be lonely, but Lily mentioned she never said she felt lonely. After some time, Lily stepped out with Yuri's permission but hadn't returned, so he went to check on her. He saw her nervously wandering in the backyard and found it suspicious, but it turned out she was just playing with a stray cat. She called him over to pet the stray cat, but he refused because he's afraid of cats. Wanting to overcome his fear, she offered to help, but he insisted on trying alone, so she left him with the cat. Yuri attempted to befriend the cat, but it wasn't working, and then Lily brought some leftover fish from breakfast to feed the cat. Yuri then tried to touch the cat, but suddenly a black, intimidating cat appeared, scaring him, but the white cat stood up to protect him. Yuri stood his ground with his eyes closed, hoping the menacing cat would back off, which it did, and he and the white cat became friends. Lily was pleased to see his progress. She also wanted to be petted by him, which he did, and found Lily softer than the cat. But as she was about to leave,
Number 5. Burger King Foot.
a picture of Yuri slipped out of her pocket. When he asked why, she said she likes to see him wherever she goes, but Yuri suggested she see the real thing instead, after which she walked away. Yuri was watering the plants when Lily invited him for lunch, which was as delicious as always. Curious about her secret ingredient, he told her he'd like to learn to cook because he had never eaten such tasty food that he couldn't stop eating, and it made him want to marry her so he could keep enjoying it forever, which made Lily...
Number 6. Burger King Foot. Okay, I'll stop with the Burger King Foot, but why did I count that as 6? Because he wanted it. You know you're a child, buddy.
blushed deeply. She agreed to teach him...
Sister, stop!
how to cook stew, which is Yuri's favorite. After all the hard work, the dish was ready, and he told Lily to sit down and eat with him. She found it very tasty, although it was average for him as he prefers Lily's cooking more. He asked if she forgot to add anything, and she joked that she forgot to add her love potion. He asked how one person could have so much love to give, and she called it a secret, blushing profusely. While bathing, he wondered how she knew stew was his favorite since he had never told her. At night, she wished him good night, but he couldn't sleep, wondering what she does when he sleeps. He decided to stay up and get to the bottom of this, but he just dozed off, and Lily came to see his cute sleeping face, staying up while the cat also slept with him. Today, Yuri's school started again, and when Lily offered to drop him off at school, he firmly declined and ordered her to stay at home. At school, Tsukasa saw him and had learned about his parents' accident from her maid, Fujizaki, and wondered if he was okay. When he entered the class, everyone was gossiping about him now being an orphan and so broke that he had to dismiss his servants, although Tsukasa was worried about him. She recalled how he had started a conversation with her despite her shyness, which made her very happy and was a day she would never forget. Today, she wanted him to know he was not alone and tried to talk to him, but just then the teacher arrived and her attempt failed miserably. At home, Lily wondered why Yuri had been so opposed to her help that morning and started to doubt whether she had proven herself as a good maid. She decided to work even harder to earn her master's trust. After finishing the housework, Lily went to the school to pick Yuri up, and Fujizaki saw her and seemed to recognize her. Seeing Lily at school surprised Yuri, while other students commented on how beautiful his maid was. Tsukasa wanted to talk to him since she hadn't had the chance during the day, but seeing him talking with Lily, she hid behind a tree and listened to their conversation. She learned that Yuri hadn't let go of all the servants like everyone was saying. Seeing them both blushing, Tsukasa started to believe that they must have something going on, but the age gap startled her.
Yeah, and the age gap started her indeed. Freaking children, man. This is pedophilia. Also, Strike 7, stop!
While
Who are you hollering at? You're trying to blame Pearson.
Do not. Are you?
Seriously, move.
he was observing the scene, Fujisaki found her and reminded her that the car was waiting. Seeing Fujisaki, Lily approached her and Tsukasa was surprised that they knew each other. Lily thanked Tsukasa for being kind to Yuri and asked her to continue being friends with him. In the evening, Lily went to the market to get supplies for dinner. And when Yuri got home, he searched for her everywhere and finally decided to enjoy his alone time until she returned. Lily roamed through the entire market but couldn't find what she was looking for. Yet she refused to give up because her master deserved a delicious meal, so she decided to go to the next town. It was already evening and Yuri started worrying about her whereabouts. He realized how lonely it was without Lily at home. He found her phone number and tried to call her, but then he heard the phone ring and noticed that she had left her phone at home. Here, Lily finally found the perfect ingredients for dinner and thought about calling Yuri to inform him that she might be late, but then she realized she didn't have her phone with her. Yuri heard something and rushed to open the door, but he discovered it was his cat, not Lily. Lily couldn't find any buses as there was a delay due to an inspection, but fortunately, Fujisaki saw her and gave her a ride. She asked what Lily was doing in this town, and Lily explained her situation. Fujisaki asked when she had come back, and Lily replied last month. She dropped Lily off at home, and Lily quickly went to Yuri and apologized for coming so late. Yuri was not pleased with her and started getting angry, telling her how he can't live without her and how lonely he feels. Lily praised him for being so brave alone at home, which made him blush. He asked her to inform him next time she goes out, and Lily took it as an order. Lily is trying to create an environment that will be healthy for the young master so he can grow up properly. After all, that's the whole reason she's here. But he thinks she is so suspicious and is always peeking at her, trying to expose her. She has to figure out how to get closer to him and gain his trust. It's her duty to watch over him as a maid and as the only adult in the house. But when he caught her following him, she retorted that he watches her all the time too, which made him run away, and Lily followed him but her shoe got stuck, and she fell on top of him with 2 large melons near his mouth.
Strike 8. What'd you do again?
Yuri assured her that he wouldn't run away and that she could stop chasing him all the time, after which he resumed his usual watch over Lily, and they were back to where they started. No matter what she did, it always backfired on her. Then she thought of playing games with him to get closer. They decided to play Yuri's favorite game, chess. This was the only game his father had taught him. His parents were very kind people but were always busy. He rarely saw them as they didn't show up at home very often. But whenever he could spend time with them, it made him very happy. They only played chess a couple of times after that, but it was fun. After hearing this, Lily assured him that she was here now and they could play chess whenever he wanted. She made some progress in getting closer to him, but she had to keep going little by little to make sure Master Yuri was always happy. It turned night and Lily needed to go to prepare dinner, but Yuri still wanted to continue playing chess. The next day when Yuri came back from school, he wasn't looking happy at all. Lily made homemade pudding for him and imagined how he would act suspicious of her. But to her surprise, he simply took the pudding and closed the door after thanking her. He also didn't call her out for following him, which made her think that he might be intentionally ignoring her. But then he gave her a paper, which was an invitation for parents at school. Yuri tried to think of any other option, but she was the only one he had left, and Lily also agreed to come to his school. This made her realize that he wasn't ignoring her, but that this was the situation, upon which Yuri told her he would never ignore her. He told her that her outfit needed to be changed and requested her to come in normal clothes, but she was totally confused about what to wear. He thought she might not come, but Lily arrived there just in time, which made him happy, and Tsukasa too. She was wearing Fujisaki's dress, who had lent it to her after Lily asked for her help earlier today. After school, she apologized for coming late, but Yuri appreciated her for coming, which made her happy, and they both walked home together. One morning, Yuri was running the hallway yelling out loud because sports day was around the corner and he was training for his race. After mentioning this, Lily remembered that he had told her about sports day coming soon. Otherwise, his yelling and running in the hallway would have made Lily suspicious of him. Hearing the word suspicious, Yuri retorted that it was her who was suspicious, not him. She offered to help him train for his competition and started cheering him on like a cheerleader, which was the cutest thing Yuri and I had ever seen. Nonetheless, he agreed to take her help in training and told her to also come on sports day. The next day, despite him telling her several times not to come, Lily went to escort Yuri home because she couldn't wait any longer to see his face, and Yuri felt the same. Tsukasa was spying on them, smiling as she watched their heartwarming interactions. Fujisaki told her that it wasn't a good thing to spy, but she justified it with some girl's logic that she was just eavesdropping. She would give anything to experience something like that, but Fujisaki told her to come back down to earth, and it was time to go home. She insisted on at least playing the small role play, which Tsukasa absolutely loved, but it ended before it even started because Fujisaki is such a boring person, and they left for home. While eating snacks, Yuri noticed a book that Lily was holding, and she explained that she had done.
We'll come back to this next episode.
Let's
In an hour?
play this or that to build your team. You have to give one justification for each of your choices. Thor or...
The story begins as a boy named Rentaro confesses to his crush. The girl says that she likes him, but she gets sick at the thought of dating him.
100 what now?
Rentaro is crushed by the rejection, and his friend accompanies him as they walk home. We learn that this was Rentaro's 100th rejection, and his friend makes fun of him for this. His friend wonders how he has asked out 100 girls since they have only just graduated from middle school, and Rentaro remembers the first girl he ever asked out when he was only 8 months old. Rentaro really wants to experience what it's like to have a girlfriend, and his friend wonders how he keeps getting rejected since he seems to have everything, from good looks to good grades. This makes him more frustrated, but his friend bids him farewell, wishing him luck in high school. Rentaro visits a shrine and prays to the god of love to get a girlfriend in high school, when suddenly, he hears a voice and a face pops out of the donation box. But the man tells him that he's the shrine's god. As he emerges, we see he has wings, and he tells Rentaro that he's destined to meet his soulmate in high school. In fact, he's actually going to have 100 soulmates, so he'll have plenty to choose from. Rentaro is happy about this, but he swears to destroy the shrine if it turns out to be a lie. 1 month later, it's the first day of high school. Rentaro is on his way to the classroom when he bumps into two girls, Inda and Akari. They feel a shocking feeling as their eyes meet, and Rentaro wonders if they're the soulmates that God told him about. He goes to help the two girls up, but Akari suddenly pretends to have twisted her ankle, asking him to help her to the nurse's office.
I'm not doing strikes for this because it's an hour long, and the more I pause, the more I'm going to be here, so...
Rentaro cries over hurting his soulmate, and Akari starts to like him even more, thinking he is a kind soul. As he helps her up, Inda gets jealous, and she pretends that she's twisted her ankle as well. Rentaro starts hitting himself for hurting the two girls, and the girls stand up as they get worried for him. Rentaro is surprised to see they can stand, but they quickly go back to pretending. Rentaro takes them to the nurse's office, but he feels as though he's the one who's being carried. The girls pretend to lose balance, and they start fighting over him, but they end up both clinging onto him. As they continue to the nurse's office, Rentaro introduces himself to the girls, and he finds out that they are all in the same class.
Of course they are. So they can get along more.
There are two other girls that walk past, and they mention a field of pink leaf clovers in the courtyard, saying if you ask anyone out with a pink 4-leaf clover, it's guaranteed they will say yes. Inda and Akari suddenly run off, and Rentaro is surprised their legs are fine. 3 hours after the end of school, we see Rentaro stay back to help a teacher find his contact lens. As he prepares to go home, he wonders if he will see the girls again, and he suddenly sees them in the courtyard. We see Inda looking for the 4-leaf clover, and Rentaro checks to see how it's going. Inda is shocked to see him, and she tries to pretend she wasn't looking for the clover. Rentaro notices that Akari isn't there, and he offers Inda a drink. She is too
of me! You're actually crushing me! You're actually crushing me! Mom! Mom, get off me! You're crushing me! Help! Got someone help! Help! Get off! You're crushing me! Stop! Stop! No! Help! Help! Get off! Get
Was
off!
accepted, so Rentaro thinks she must find him weird since they only just met.
What?
You give up?
Dylan, get into a car. Stop!
Go for the pin.
No,
Go
no,
for the pin.
no,
Go. Lay it.
no, no,
Two.
no,
Three. Ding, ding, ding.
no,
Seriously.
no, I got it. That's not fair. This is how 3 is 10. Get off of me, Thurston. Oh.
Give up. I gotta go.
Rentaro notices that Hikari isn't there, and he offers Inda a drink. She is too shy to accept it, so Rentaro thinks she must find him weird since they only just met, but she suddenly snatches it from him, saying she'll drink it all so it doesn't go to waste. He tells her she should go home since it's getting late. She tells him not to tell her what to do, but she thanks him for the drink, and Rentaro realizes she's at Tsundere. Inda suddenly runs away, and Hikari returns. Rentaro offers her a drink, but Hikari intends to have an indirect kiss with him, so she asks to share half with him, saying she can't finish it by herself. Rentaro thought this would happen, so he already brought a smaller drink for her, but she insists that she still can't finish it. He agrees and takes a sip, as he gives it to Hikari, but Hikari panics, and it all spills on the ground. Rentaro thinks she's upset because she must really like the drink. He offers her his handkerchief to help her clean up, but Hikari instead holds his hand and confesses her love to him, saying she has to do it fast because there's someone else who likes him. Rentaro is delighted receiving his first ever confession, but before he can respond, Inda suddenly returns. She had bought a bunch of drinks to repay him, but she suddenly gets mad at Hikari for asking him out, telling her to get in line. Rentaro is surprised to hear that she likes him. She tries to deny it at first, but she ends up confessing to him as well. They ask him who he's going to choose, but he tells them to wait till the next day for his answer. He thinks about both of the girls, but he is just not able to choose. He visits the shrine, and God tells him that they are both his soulmates, so it's impossible for him to choose. He wonders what other people do if they meet 2 soulmates, but God tells him that people usually don't have more than one. The God reveals that when Rentaro was born, he made a mistake because he was busy watching TV, and he accidentally assigned Rentaro 100 soulmates instead of 1. Rentaro thinks he's doomed, but God warns him it'll
What?
only get worse, because if a person can't be with their soulmate, they'll die because they can't have the one they love. He thinks about one of the girls dying, so this just makes his decision even harder. However, he suddenly gets an idea, thinking he could reject them both, and then date both of them behind the other's back. The next morning, the girls meet Rentaro and are surprised to see him tattered, but he finally answers that he wants to date both of them. Inda is shocked to hear this, and it turns out he couldn't bring himself to lie to them, so he confesses that he loves them both and will do everything to make them the happiest girls ever. The girls are about to reject him, but he suddenly presents them both with pink 4-leaf clovers, which we learn he spent all night looking for. Inda mocks him for believing in the superstition, but Hikari reminds her how they both believed in it. Inda refuses to accept 2 timing with him, but he tells them that he got the flowers because he saw how hard they were looking for them, so he just wanted to make them happy. The girls can't handle the gesture, and Hikari agrees to be with him, thinking 2 timing with him would still make her happier than getting rejected. Inda refuses to let Hikari have him to herself, so she also agrees to be with him. Hikari teases her for changing her mind, and Rentaro swears to cherish them both, but he wonders about his other 98 soulmates. The next day, Rentaro expresses how happy he is to finally have a girlfriend, but he's actually just talking to a pole. The two girls arrive, but Inda gets creeped out at why he was talking to a pole. Rentaro says he was just too happy, so he couldn't contain himself, and Inda tells him he can talk to her instead, but she ends up becoming too embarrassed. Hakari takes this chance, and she holds Rentaro's hand. He is overwhelmed by the sensation, and Inda starts to get jealous, but he grabs her hand as well. She acts like she doesn't enjoy it, but the three of them happily walk together. When they get to school, they see a boy running as he gets chased by the vice principal. Hakari points out that she's known for being strict, and if she sees anyone running in the school, she will chase them down, and if they're caught, she'll give them a kiss. Rentaro thinks this would cause emotional damage, and Hakari notes that the vice principal is a former star sprinter, so it's impossible to get away from her. Hakari goes on to ask Rentaro if he's ever kissed anyone, but he says that he hasn't since they are his first ever girlfriends. Hearing this, Hakari and Inda realize that whoever acts first will be able to get his first kiss. The three spend the lunch break together, and while Inda is distracted by a cat, Hakari feeds an egg roll to Rentaro. He likes it so much that he starts crying, and Inda gets jealous. She reveals that she made cookies for him, but when she tries to feed him, she ends up hitting him in the eye. He eats her cookie, telling her it was amazing, but Hakari takes out a Baki snack. As she opens it, she finds that the ends have been broken. She wonders how she can feed him without getting her hands dirty, so she ends up feeding him with her mouth. Seeing her so close, Rentaro thinks she is too cute. Hakari starts biting the snack to get closer to him. Inda tries to join, but she ends up poking his other eye.
That face. Why is it so detailed? Ow. He stabbed in the eye. He got stabbed in the eye. Go, 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 go. Go, go, baby. Go, go, baby. Go, go.
As Inda's hair gets in the way, it causes Rentaro to sneeze, and he breaks his Baki with Hakari. Inda notices that his eyes are all red, so she worries that he has a cold, but she suddenly grabs onto him, telling him he can get better by passing it on. She tries to kiss him, but Hakari gets in the way, saying they can't be sure that he has a cold, so she tries to check his temperature through their lips, saying it's our family's tradition. However, Inda stops them and
This is going so well so far. I mean, just look how well it's going.
tries to make Rentaro pass out so she can give him mouth to mouth. Hakari pushes her away, and they both are angry at each other. Rentaro finally realizes they were trying to kiss him. Inda disagrees with this, but her expression makes their motives obvious. He's stunned to know they want to kiss him, so he offers to kiss them because he's been wanting to do it as well. But Hakari explains that he will have to choose who he will kiss first, causing them to fight with each other once again. However, Rentaro stops them, saying he has a solution that he had planned the day before because he was too excited. He thought a lot about how to make them happy, so for the first kiss, they will keep who was kissed first a mystery, so they will both have the same chance of being his first kiss, and he'll consider each of their kisses as his first. The girls are concerned about how they can keep it a mystery, but Rentaro explains his plan, which involves wearing a mask and covering their ears. Using a dice, the girls will randomly determine their standing position, and he will kiss them without knowing who is who. He will then return to his original position, and the girls will once again randomize their positions, so in the end he will have no idea who he kissed first. Hakari thinks it's a great idea, but Inda worries there's a chance he could cheat, so Rentaro reveals his solution, which is to pinky promise that they won't cheat. Inda thinks it's dumb, but Rentaro promises to stick a needle in his eye if he breaks the promise. The girls agree to the plan, and as they go about carrying it out, there is a gust of wind that lifts up Inda's skirt, and the cat suddenly starts clawing at it. Inda thinks it's Rentaro who's touching her, and she ends up kicking him away. She starts beating him up, but her headphones come out, and she realizes it was the cat. They decide to try again, But with every try, something always goes wrong, and they are unable to kiss. Everyone's upset, and Inda points out the plan was faulty. This angers Hikari, and they both start blaming each other and fighting over who Rentaro belongs to. He stops them and takes all the blame upon himself for not being experienced as he runs off. He calls out for the vice principal, and she suddenly shows up to punish him for running. She gets on top of him, and he's scared to death, but Inda suddenly stops her. Hikari pretends to see a school inspector, and the vice principal gets worried hearing this, so she quickly crawls away. The girls wonder why Rentaro acted so rashly, but he says it's because he loves them both and wants them to get along, so he'd rather ruin his first kiss than cause them to fight. But hearing this, both girls tell him he can kiss the other, not wanting him to waste his first kiss. Rentaro is surprised by this, but the girls can tell that they both really love him. Rentaro hugs them both, and he seems to come up with another plan. He suggests they could do a three-way kiss. He thought they wouldn't go for this at the start, but seeing them get along, he thinks it can work. The girls get embarrassed at the thought of kissing each other, but they end up agreeing, and the three finally get their first kiss. The following day, the girls and Rentaro are at the library. Hikari looks for a cookbook so she can make more food for him, but Inda fights with her over a book about winning a man through his stomach. Rentaro tells them to get along, reminding them how they both shared a kiss, and the girls become embarrassed. Rentaro looks around for another book, but he meets another girl who instantly gives him a shocking sensation, so he wonders if she's another one of his soulmates. The girl backs away, and Rentaro sees that she's the librarian. The girl doesn't speak, but points to phrases in her book to communicate with him. Rentaro finds this confusing at first, so he thinks they aren't meant to speak in the library. She asks him what he's looking for, and he tries to mime out that he's looking for a story that's funny. The girl asks him why he's not talking, and he asks her the same thing. She apologizes and prepares to get someone else to help him, but he stops her, asking for her assistance. He asks for her recommendations for a romance story with a good ending, so she starts picking out some books for him. But Rentaro is shocked when she ends up picking out a mountain of books. The girl apologizes, telling him to just pick the ones he wants, but he tells her he'll take them all since she picked them out for him. But as he goes to check them out, it turns out his library card isn't ready yet, so he can't borrow any of the books. But the girl offers him her own personal book. Rentaro happily accepts it, and he wonders about her name. The girl shows him her ID, and we learn her name is Shizuka. At night, Rentaro reads the book, and it's a story about a princess and her knight. The knight swears his loyalty to her, even protecting her from a dragon. The two develop feelings for one another, but the princess is arranged to be married to another prince. The knight rushes out to her, wishing there was a way for them to defy their fates. Rentaro roots for them, but the story ends on a cliffhanger. The next day, Rentaro thanks Shizuka for the book, and he realizes that she brought him the second book. He excitedly accepts it, but thinks he needs to find a way to repay her. He buys a drink for her, and they start talking about the book outside. Shizuka tells him that it's her favorite book, and Rentaro is impressed by how well she knows it, since she can find any phrase to use it to communicate, but she is just glad that he doesn't find her weird, revealing that she has never had a real friend. Hearing this, Rentaro gets an idea, and he asks to borrow her first book again. The next day, we see Shizuka has brought the third book for Rentaro, but he doesn't show up even after a few days. As she walks around the school, she notices Rentaro with Hikari and Inda. They know how sleepy he looks, and he says he's been busy at night. The girls think about what he could be up to, but Rentaro continues to yawn. Hikari suddenly kisses him, telling him she's giving him her energy. Rentaro hugs her, calling her his angel, but Inda says she also has plenty of energy to give him. She goes in to kiss him, but she ends up headbutting him instead. Shizuka realizes he has a girlfriend and thinks he must be too busy to read. She thinks about how the other girls found her weird for the way she talks, and even her mother thinks she's a freak, begging her to speak normally. She thinks nobody has time to talk to someone like her, but we see Rentaro come to find her, saying he can finally repay her for lending him her books. He gets her to install an app on her phone, and reveals he made a copy of the first book. He shows her how to select the words and play it out as a voice. Shizuka knows the ebook was never released, so Rentaro manually typed out the whole book, Rentaro explains that when she talks with the book, they never spoke face to face, since she always had to look at the book. But he says that by using the app, they'll be able to look at each other while she talks. He hopes that it will help her with communicating, and he tells her to try it out. She tells him that she loves him, but she instantly takes it back, telling him not to worry. However, Rentaro tells her that he loves her too. Shizuka thinks they are destined not to be together, but Rentaro claims they will overcome it, even if it's their fate. He introduces Shizuka to the other girls, asking to add her as his newest girlfriend. Inda thinks he's insane, but Hikari thanks him for staying with them, even after finding someone else. Rentaro claims his feelings towards them haven't changed, making an analogy that they are like an oil field, and Shizuka is just a completely new field, so adding her won't affect them in any way. In fact, he plans on cherishing them even more than before. He promises to prove it with his actions, saying that if he ever fails them, he will atone for it by committing seppuku, even ordering a special knife from Amazon. Inda ends up accepting it, and Rentaro's girlfriends grow by one, but there are still 97 soulmates to go. Rentaro tells Hikari and Inda more about Shizuka, telling them that she has a cute mannerism while reading books, where she moves her toes like a puppy's tail, and it expresses how she feels. He reveals that Hikari also has a cute habit, where she bites on her fingers while thinking, and he admits that this turns him on. He adds that when Inda is trying to brush off a compliment, she twirls her hair with her fingers, and he finds this adorable. They are surprised that he was able to notice their behavior, thinking he must really care about them. He goes on to describe how Inda and Hikari behave while they're kissing, but this causes Shizuka to lose her composure as she realizes that he has already kissed them. Hikari wonders if she is also interested in kissing, but she tells them that she's saving her first kiss for her marriage. Rentaro says that it's okay, saying he won't kiss her until she's ready, as Inda and Hikari watch her, waiting for her to kiss him, but nothing happens. They feed Rentaro lunch, but Inda becomes angry because Hikari won't let her feed him. They proceed to stuff his mouth, as Shizuka enjoys her meal, observing them as they fight over him, but he realizes that she is too quiet, thinking she needs to get used to them. He thinks about how people put up a front before getting to know someone, because they're afraid of how others will react if they display their emotions. So he thinks it'll be easier to open up to someone who already knows how you feel, because once your true feelings have been revealed, you no longer have to be afraid of how other people will react. Rentaro asks the girls if they want to play a card game, saying the loser will be tickled by the winner. He believes that
The what? The what will be what by the what?
laughter is the best way to force someone to display their emotions, thinking they will all be friends after they tickle each other. The girls think about Rentaro touching them, so they are determined to lose against him. Rentaro is the winner of the first round, while Inda is the loser, but she appears to be happy about this. He proceeds to tickle her, as she tries to resist it, and she lies on the ground. But he stops as he realizes she's enjoying it a little too much. For the second round, Rentaro wins again, and the loser is Hikari. She celebrates, knowing
why does she look like a ghost?
he is about to touch her, and he starts tickling her, causing her to laugh, as she enjoys every moment of it. But she starts acting weird, and she begs him to stop, saying she is very ticklish, but we learn the real reason was she was about to wet herself. Rentaro wins the third round, and Shizuka is the loser, so he looks forward to tickling her, wanting to hear how she laughs. But as he proceeds to tickle her, she remains silent, and they want to tickle him back.
Yeah? I don't really know if I want to do coloring either. Not really. I mean, I don't know. I didn't say I didn't want to have anything on the activity table.
Remains silent, and she gets her device to say that she is laughing. He thinks that she looks adorable, so he continues to tickle her, as Inda and Hikari watch them, realizing that he hasn't lost yet. They want to tickle him back, so they become determined to win the game. But Shizuka wins the fourth round, and Rentaro is the loser, so she approaches him, but instead of tickling him, she pokes him. He starts laughing, as Hikari wonders why she isn't taking this chance to feel him all over. Hikari thinks that he is attracted to Shizuka's timid behavior, and she thinks about how she flaunts her best features to grab his attention, seeing herself as a poser. Shizuka's natural charm is the complete opposite, so she thinks that Shizuka is an even greater threat than Inda. After the game, Rentaro goes to the bathroom, while Inda confronts Shizuka, knowing she is keeping her distance from Rentaro. She tells them that she is just a newcomer, so she wants to stay out of their way. But Inda reminds her that she is Rentaro's girlfriend, so there's no need to hold back, saying her behavior is annoying. She immediately apologizes, but this makes Inda upset, asking her why she won't fight back. She decides to be honest with them, telling them she is afraid, as she explains that Hikari has incredible charm, while Inda has the confidence to match her beauty. But Shizuka thinks that there is nothing special about her, and she is afraid that Rentaro will compare her to them. They start to take a liking to her, thinking she is adorable, but she thinks that she is nothing compared to them. Hikari assures her that Rentaro can see the beauty in her, recognizing her as a fellow girlfriend. Rentaro observes them, thinking his plan went better than expected. We learn that when Shizuka was poking him, he realized that Inda was glaring at her. He thought that Inda wanted to fight her, but he believed that he should give them the chance to display their emotions. He is proud of how the girls handled the situation, and he returns to them as Inda tells him that Shizuka should tickle him again because she was holding back, and Hikari encourages her to go for it. She realizes that they are trying to help her, thinking she should make their kindness count, so she approaches him, telling him that she wants to kiss him. They finally kiss, and Shizuka becomes flustered, but Hikari also asks for a kiss. As
There's a child falling from the skies. Sorry, sweetheart, but I'm not your mother. I don't have any milk for you. I'm so sorry!
and Shizuka becomes
Why? Whatever, man.
flustered, but Hikari also asks for a kiss, as she wonders if she is good enough for him, thinking she is nothing compared to Shizuka, but he tells her that he loves all of his girlfriends. He kisses her, making her happy, and he asks Inda if she also wants a kiss. She pretends that she doesn't, but she slides into position, and he tells her that she's cute when she's flustered. She pummels him, but he endures it, and she admits that she wants to kiss him, so he gives her one as well. He realizes that he has amazing girlfriends, thinking he doesn't deserve them, but they tell him that they feel the same way about him. The next day, Rentaro enters the classroom, where he meets a girl named Nano. He tells her that the exam results have been posted, asking her if she's going to check it out, but she tells him that it's a waste of time, knowing she has secured the #1 spot. As their eyes meet, they feel a shocking sensation, so he thinks that she must be one of his soulmates. He checks the results with his girlfriends, and we learn that they all did well. As he looks at the #1 spot, he is surprised to see that Nano got a perfect score. He asks the girls about her, so they tell him that she's a total nerd, saying she can answer any question they give her, and there are rumors that she isn't even human. During their biology class, Rentaro is paired up with Nano, as he notes that she is nothing like his girlfriends, because her elegance is on another level. He realizes that she is copying the answer from her textbook, because she thinks that practical exams are a waste of time, saying the scientists already know the answer. He tells her that the professor is watching, so she uses the microscope, but instead of checking out the specimen, she looks at her textbook, saying it's more efficient. He realizes that she behaves like a robot, and as he tries to slice the specimen, he cuts his finger, so he proceeds to rinse it, thinking about going to the nurse's office. But Nano tells him that there's no need, and she puts it in her mouth, causing him to panic. She explains that he doesn't need a disinfectant, because saliva is a natural source of it. Rentaro wonders if he's dreaming, and it also causes Inda to become upset.
What? Since when was saliva a natural source of disinfection? But what if you have germs?
After class, Rentaro thanks Nano for helping him, but she tells him that she just wanted him to stay, because she needed someone to help her clean up. He wants to get to know her better, inviting her to go out with him, but she thinks that it's a waste of time because it produces nothing of value, saying it won't improve her future prospects. He thinks that having fun is the meaning of life, but she tells him that he's delusional, saying he is wasting her time, so he starts to wonder if she really is his soulmate. That evening, we see Nano in her room, but she thinks about Rentaro, wondering why she helped him. She realizes that she has feelings for him, thinking it's distracting her, so she starts writing the exact value of pi, thinking it's the most efficient way to restore her focus. But she notes that it isn't working, even though she has filled up the board and written on many pieces of paper. She realizes that she is wasting time, thinking this is a problem. So the next day, Nano tells Rentaro that she is in love with him, saying she wants him to be her boyfriend. He tells her that he wants to go out with her, but she turns him down, so he thinks that he has been pranked. She reveals that she wants to put an end to her feelings, because relationships only lead to marriage and pregnancy, thinking romance between teenagers is meaningless. She tells him that she'll never go out with him, but he reveals that he is in love with her, saying he refuses to give up, and he asks her out, imploring her to give him a chance to win her over. A few days later, they visit an amusement park, and Rentaro is determined to convince Nano that love is meaningful. But she thinks that the activity is pointless, wondering why they're even doing it. She notes that he's holding onto an instant camera, knowing that it doesn't retain any data, so she thinks that it's a flawed device. He tells her to say cheese, but she asks him what he means, and he takes the picture anyways. They enter a haunted house, and Nano says that she doesn't believe in ghosts. As the ghosts try to scare them, she maintains her composure, saying they're only humans, so she wonders why Rentaro is afraid. She says that the haunted house is full of humans, so they should call it a human house instead. As they ride the giant teacups, she thinks that whoever created the ride is insane, wondering why people line up to get...
Our ghost is called haunted, since it's called the human house, and ghosts are in a haunted house. Does that mean it should either be called a ghost house, or should the ghost be called haunted instead of ghosts? For it to make sense.
Spun around, and she thinks that it must have been created to brainwash people. They enter a giant maze, where they encounter dead ends, as Nano wonders why the designers didn't just build the right path, thinking it only makes the customers' lives more difficult. At the Ferris wheel, Nano reveals that she is afraid of heights, so Rentaro sits next to her, and they hold each other's hands. They look at all the pictures they took, and Nano admits she had fun, but she still thinks that it's a meaningless day. So Rentaro decides to burn the photos, saying they should erase it from their memories, but as he is about to burn it, Nano recalls that the camera doesn't store data, so they will lose all records of the event. She takes the photos, and Rentaro tells her she was afraid of losing them, because she gained something of value. She starts crying, as he tells her that enjoying good times makes their lives meaningful. She uses his handkerchief to wipe her tears, telling him that she will disinfect it before she returns it, and he wonders if she will use her saliva again, but she tells him that she will wash it. She says that she wants him to be her boyfriend, because she wants to spend more meaningful times with him, and Rentaro tells her that he loves her. So she kisses him, telling him that she'll fulfill her desires by any means necessary. Rentaro introduces her to the girls, and they don't make any objections, so he thanks them for accepting her, once again promising to commit seppuku if he doesn't treat them well, but Nano tells him that poison would be more effective. They think about going out together, and Akari is jealous Rentaro went to a theme park without her, so she suggests they go to a water park, wanting to have a beach episode. We see Inda looking for a swimsuit to wear, but she has trouble picking one out. There's one that grabs her attention, thinking it looks cute, but she thinks that it won't look good on her. However, she thinks that Rentaro might like it, so she decides to buy it. They arrive at the pool, where Rentaro sees the girls wearing swimsuits, and he is overjoyed at the sight, thinking he can die happy. But Inda arrives with a strange dress, so he panics because it looks like she doesn't have a swimsuit. She tells them that she's feeling cold, so she'll hang around the pool while they have fun. Nano points her to an area where she can enjoy the sun, so she thanks Nano, saying she doesn't have to worry about her. But Nano says that she doesn't care about her, so she becomes upset, telling Nano to go away. They enter the whirlpool, where Shizuka keeps spinning on her floater, saying she can't control where she's going. Nano believes that the venue is for survival training, and she tries to swim against the current, but Rentaro stops her as Hikari clings to him, telling him that she is being swept away. She gets up close to him, and Nano tries to do the same, but it causes him to pass out. Nano notes that he's not breathing, so Hikari gives him mouth to mouth, enjoying every moment of it. But Nano tells her to go away, trying to save Rentaro, but Hikari tells her that it's not working, saying Rentaro is going to die. Meanwhile, we see Shizuka getting swept away, and she tries to get out of the pool, but she can't control where she's going. She realizes she's in trouble, so she tries asking for help, but everyone ignores her. Her floater breaks, so she hurries out of the water, but she becomes stranded on an island in the middle of the whirlpool. We return to Rentaro, as Nano suggests finding a lifeguard. They run around the pool, but a group of men call out to them. Hikari ignores them, but one of them notices that she has a great body. He reaches out to her, but Nano stops him and pokes his eyes, saying it's the most efficient way to dispose of a pervert. His friends become upset, so they try to intimidate Nano, and she tells them that she will hang out with them so that Hikari can look for a lifeguard to save Rentaro. She knows that he will be sad if something happens to Hikari, so she decided to help her escape. But Hikari tells them that Nano isn't going with them, telling her that Rentaro also cares about her. One of the men reaches out to Hikari, but Rentaro gets in the way, saying Nano and Hikari are his girlfriends. The man tells him not to interfere because Nano blinded his friend, telling him to leave with his girlfriend, but he tells the man that Nano and Hikari are both his girlfriends. The man doesn't believe him, so he tells him to kiss both of them, thinking Rentaro won't be able to do it because he's lying. But Nano kisses him, and Hikari does the same, telling the men that Rentaro is saying the truth. The men freak out, realizing he's a Giga Chad, and they decide not to mess with him. Hikari wonders how Rentaro was
So they decided not to mess with him, realizing he's a Giga Chad. Boy, if you want to shut the...
able to recover. We learn that Enda saw the incident, so she was about to make her way to Hikari and Nano, but she saw Rentaro along the way, thinking he's already dead. She tells him not to die, because Nano and Hikari are in trouble, so he suddenly regains consciousness, and he rushes to help them. Rentaro explains that he was able to make it because of Enda, and he thanks Nano for protecting Hikari. Nano thinks that Hikari is more important than her, but he tells her not to put herself in danger, and she realizes that he also cares about her. He realizes that Shizuka is still in the pool, so he panics, knowing she can't swim. He rushes to her, and we see her asking for help, but everyone ignores her. She realizes that her phone is running out of battery, but at that moment, she hears Rentaro calling out to her. She tries to grab his attention, but he can't find her, so she thinks about screaming with her own voice. She doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want people to hear her voice, but she doesn't have any other choice. She screams with a high-pitched voice, and Rentaro immediately finds her, saying he's glad that she's okay. He carries her away, and she kisses him, causing him to become embarrassed as he reminds her that they're still in public. They join the others, and Rentaro tells them that he's going to take a break, telling Enda to join him. During his break, he asks Enda why she keeps looking at Hikari and Nano, thinking she is comparing herself to them. He thinks that she doesn't feel confident wearing her swimsuit, so he assures her that she and Shizuka are both normal. But she says that Shizuka is different because she's tiny and cute, but he suddenly removes her dress, revealing her swimsuit. She calls him a pervert, but he thinks that she looks amazing. He hugs her, and she realizes that his heart is beating fast, as he tells her that she's unique, saying she can't be more attractive than she already is, and she is moved by his words. Enda decides to join them in the pool, and they enjoy the rest of the day together. They return to the school, and as they pass by the chemistry lab, Rentaro sees a girl. He feels the shocking sensation as their eyes meet, so he knows that she is one of his soulmates. The next day, Rentaro returns to the lab, wondering if he will find his soulmate there, but as he enters the room, he sees a strange girl who introduces herself as Kasuri from the chemistry club. She gives him tea, but he's surprised to see that it's in a beaker. She tells him that she just finished developing a drug, but he explains that he doesn't want to join the chemistry club, saying he's just looking for someone. But she just tells him to drink the tea and wait, so he decides to try it, and she presents the drug she made, which is a human magnet medicine. She explains that if he takes it, his body will attract metals, and she forces him to drink it. His body starts acting like a magnet, and he is impressed that this is even possible, but she warns him about the drug's side effect, saying he will be constipated for 3 days. She decides to test her theory, revealing that she has a drug with an opposite pole, and she drinks it, causing her body to become attracted to him. She tells him that opposites attract, but she realizes that the magnetism is too strong, so she can't get away. But she maintains her composure, knowing the effect only lasts for 10 minutes. She tells him that she needs to pee, so he starts to panic, but she says that it's okay, revealing that she has diapers on. She pees in her diapers, and the effect finally wears off. She reveals that she wants to create new drugs, revealing that she has already made plenty of them. He realizes that he's starting to have feelings for her, and she already knows about this because she made him drink a love potion when he arrived. She reveals that she fell in love with him at first sight, but he throws up, saying he wants to get rid of the love potion. She wonders why the love potion didn't work, thinking he must really dislike her. So she starts crying, asking him if she's not his type, but he tells her that he doesn't want to be drugged up when he accepts her feelings. He starts acting weird, and she knows that his body is trying to reject the drug, so she tells him to drink a neutralizer, but he is convulsing, so she decides to give it using her mouth. His body recovers, but she despairs, knowing the effect of the love potion is gone. He tells her that he still likes her, causing her to become flustered, and she begs him to go out with her, saying she will do whatever he wants. Her hair suddenly starts growing, and her body transforms, revealing that she is the soulmate he saw in the lab. She explains that she also drank the neutralizer while she was giving it by mouth, revealing that she transformed into a kid because she worked on a failed immortality drug, but she says that she can only maintain her current form for an hour. She reveals that she is the president of the chemistry club, and that her current form has poor vision and long hair, so she prefers to do her research as a kid. He can't believe that she is one of his soulmates, and he agrees to go out with her. Rentaro introduces Kusuri to his other girlfriends, and he doesn't receive any negative reactions. But she tells them that she loves drugs, so Inda wonders if she's okay. He explains that she is older than them, and that she is small because of a drug, so Inda thinks that Kusuri is a drug addict. She reveals that she has a medicine to help grow Inda's boobs, but she becomes upset, so Kusuri offers to give her other medicines to improve herself. But she becomes even more upset, asking Kusuri why she's doing this, so she reveals that Rentaro told her about her insecurity. Inda tortures him, but Kusuri tells her how much he loves her, so she immediately apologizes. Kusuri gives Hikari a hotness medicine, saying it will make her more attractive. She thinks that it will enhance her assets, so she decides to drink it, but she realizes that she is sweating profusely, and her clothes melt away, as Kusuri explains that nothing is hotter than her birthday suit. Rentaro gives her clothes, and she smells it, knowing he wore it. She is worried that it could also melt away, but Kusuri assures her that the drug only works once, so Rentaro's clothes are safe. Kusuri gives Shizuka a fantasy medicine, causing her to grow rabbit ears. Rentaro finds it cute, and he starts touching it, which makes her happy. Kusuri gives Nano a hair control drug, giving her the ability to use her hair like extra arms. Nano uses it to grab Rentaro, and she kisses him, saying she likes the drug because it increases her efficiency. Kusuri explains that the drug lasts for 10 minutes, saying she can take more drugs if she wants the effect to last, but it will increase her risk of going bald. She thinks that this is a small price to pay, asking Rentaro if he will love her even if she is bald, and he tells her that he will love her even if she becomes an alien. But he reveals that he likes her hair, so she decides not to use the drug. Kusuri tells them about her dream to join a research team so that she can make even more amazing drugs. But she feels the urge to pee, saying she will use her diapers, but Rentaro tells her to use the bathroom. They are about to drink tea, as Kusuri tells them to be careful, explaining that the tea for the girls is different from Rentaro's tea, but she can't explain it properly because she really needs to go to the bathroom. She rushes to the toilet, and they see 2 containers, thinking the small one is for Rentaro. They eat together, but Kusuri realizes that the girls are about to drink Rentaro's tea, so she warns them to spit it out, revealing that the big container has a drug that is supposed to make him kiss her, but he tells her that he will kiss her even if he isn't drugged. She is happy to hear this, and she is about to kiss him, but Inda suddenly grabs onto her, throwing her away, as he realizes that the girls want to kiss him. They start acting like zombies, and Kusuri realizes that she messed up, telling Rentaro to run, because the girls are experiencing the drug's side effect. She explains that it isn't safe for girls, because females already have a strong desire to kiss men. So the drug caused them to lose control, because the desire to kiss is so strong that it's the only thing left on their minds, and this somehow gives them super strength. She calls them kiss zombies, warning Rentaro that they will kiss him forever, but he seems to be okay with this. She explains that they need the medicine reversing drug before the drug circulates, or their personalities will be erased forever, and we learn that Rentaro only has 1 hour to get the drug, as they lunge at him, intending to kiss him to death. Kusuri and Rentaro run away, as Kusuri suggests heading to the chem lab to find a cure, but as they run around the campus, the zombies block their path. So Kusuri looks for something she can use against them, and she finds a drug that can melt faces, but Rentaro tells her not to use it, saying they should take a detour. But as they run away, the vice principal gets in their way, and Kusuri becomes frightened, so she uses the face-melting drug on her. But the vice principal's makeup protects her face, and she tells them that her true form is about to be revealed. She doesn't want anyone to see her face, so she crawls away, as they continue to flee. The zombies come up with a plan, and they split up, planning to surround Rentaro. He realizes that he's their target, thinking Kusuri can find a cure without him, so he tells her to head to the lab, while he draws their attention. As Shizuka chases after him, she suddenly trips, hitting her head, and he becomes worried, so he takes her to the infirmary, where he treats her wounds. But he realizes that she's still a zombie, and she takes him down, kissing him repeatedly. He knows that he messed up, thinking it's all over for him, but he recalls that her personality will disappear if he doesn't find a cure. So he pushes her away, and he manages to restrain her, promising to cure her. He continues to run away, but Inda launches Akari at him, causing him to fall. They pin him down, and they start kissing him, as he wonders how he can escape. But he sees them arguing, realizing that they haven't changed, so he makes them kiss each other, and they start making out, as he realizes that they're actually tough lovers, because they fight every day. He is happy to see this, but he recalls that he still needs to find a cure, so he dashes away. But as he enters the lab, he sees Nano inside, and he hides inside a locker, thinking he just needs to buy time for Kusuri to find a cure. But he sees her in the locker, as she reveals that Nano spotted her before she could enter the lab, so she decided to hide there, and she can't find a way out. He realizes that Nano knows about their plan, thinking her intelligence makes her a threat to them. Kusuri tells him to act as a decoy, so that she can enter the lab, but he thinks that Nano will be able to see through their plan, because it would be too obvious if he just starts running away. Kusuri blames herself for the situation, revealing that her experiments always cause trouble for everyone, which explains why she is the only person left in the chemistry club. She says that she will stop experimenting, but at that moment, she realizes she still has 1 dose of the reversing drug. Rentaro thinks about using it on Nano, but Kusuri starts drinking it, and he tells her to stop, causing her to drop it. He tells her that they should have used it on Nano, and she realizes that he has a point, but she returns to her original form, telling him that she plans to enter the lab while Nano doesn't recognize her. But she was only able to get a sip of the medicine, so she explains that she doesn't have a lot of time. She thinks about restraining Nano before the drug wears off, but Nano finds her suspicious, and she is able to see through her plan, so she ties her up. Rentaro panics, thinking they won't be able to cure the zombies, but he sees the drug on the floor, and he comes up with a plan. He dashes away, running away from Nano, and he hides in a room, but she destroys the door, causing him to freak out. He realizes that there's no way out, and she starts kissing him repeatedly as he accepts his fate. This looks like the end for him, but at that moment, Kusuri gives her a drug, causing her to pass out, and Kusuri explains that she will be back to normal after she wakes up. We learn that he lured Nano away because he knew that Kusuri's body was about to shrink, and this explains how she was able to break free. They cure the other zombies, and they wake up in the infirmary, wondering what just happened. Akari recalls,
"In Albion, no matter where you go or what you do, your mount will accompany you on your journey."
Akari recalls that she kissed Inda, but she claims that she doesn't remember anything, and Inda also knows what happened, but she pretends that her memory has been wiped out. Rintaro knows that they are just playing dumb, but he is happy that they are able to get along. Kusuri blames herself for what happened, so she apologizes to everyone, but he reminds her that she saved them, telling her that he is willing to fix her problems with her. So he advises her not to give up on her research, saying he loves her because of her passion. Everyone goes to a flower park, where they hear an announcement about the bouquet toss event. Hakari thinks they should participate, saying the couple that catches the bouquet gets to have a special photo shoot, where they are dressed up as a married couple. They are all eager to win, and we learn that Hakari always wanted to wear a wedding dress, thinking her dream is about to come true. A crowd gathers for the event, and we see the Gorilla Gang, as their leader orders them to win the game for her. Hakari thinks it will be difficult to deal with them, so she suggests working together and drawing lots to determine who will participate in the photo shoot. Rintaro thinks that Shizuka should stay back, because she's too small, so she could end up getting swallowed by the crowd. Kusuri is willing to participate in the game, so she drinks medicine, allowing her to return to her original form. Rintaro notices that the gang has a flag, so he creates one for his team, calling them the Rintaro family. The game is about to begin, and the announcer explains that physical attacks against other participants are prohibited. He introduces everyone to the special guest of the event, and we see that it's the vice principal. She tells everyone that she wants the bouquet to leave the atmosphere, because she doesn't want anyone to be happy. The game begins, and she throws the bouquet with incredible force. Everyone runs after it, as Rintaro notes that it's still going up, thinking it won't be landing for a while. We see the members of the Gorilla Gang attacking the other participants, as their leader claims that they're not resorting to violence, saying the gang is just training, so they aren't breaking the rules. The announcer agrees with her, and she throws the members of her gang, using them to knock people out. Hakari is about to get hit, but Inda protects her, saying she will join the gang to participate in their training. She grapples with the leader, telling everyone that she will take care of her, so they can focus on getting the bouquet. It starts to fall, so the gang members use their flags to create an incredible wind, causing it to change direction, and it looks like the Gorilla Gang is about to win. But at that moment, we see Shizuka in the air, and we learn that she was standing beside the flag bearers, so she was launched upwards when the wind vortex was created. She manages to grab the bouquet, but she is about to fall to her death, so the girls try to catch her, and Rintaro thinks they're in trouble, because they will get hurt if she crashes into them. But she bounces off their chests, allowing them to absorb. Impact, and Rintaro catches her before she hits the ground. The Rintaro family wins the event, and they start drawing lots to determine who will be joining the photo shoot. But we learn that Hakari has a plan, and she marked the winning stick with a tiny cut. But she thinks it would be too suspicious if she drew the first stick, so she plans to wait for someone's turn to end before she makes her move. She believes that Nana will be an easy target, because she is obsessed with efficiency, so she will probably take the stick closest to her. Hakari puts the winning stick at the farthest position, and she tells Nano to take one, but she explains that it will be more efficient if they all drew at once. So Hakari's plan is ruined, realizing that she underestimated Nano, but she still ends up winning, so she is overjoyed, knowing her dream is about to come true. She sees Kusuri crying, because she really wants to join the photo shoot, so Hakari tells her that she can take her place, and Kusuri is grateful for this, but she changes her mind, saying she wants two of her favorite people to be in the photo. Hakari tells everyone to join, and they take a picture together. She thanks Rintaro for making her dream come true, but she tells him to break up with her, and she doesn't give him any explanation. So later that day, he wonders what's wrong with her, and he wants to talk to her, but he realizes that she has already left them. He tries to call her, but she won't pick up, so he decides to look for her house, revealing that her address is written on the envelope she sent him. We learn that she lives in a mansion, and he calls out to her, but she tells him to be quiet, as a guard arrives, wondering where the noise came from. He manages to hide, and he receives a call from an unknown number. He realizes that it's Hikari, and she tells him that she no longer loves him, but he knows that she's lying, saying he won't leave until he knows the truth. So she tells him that her mother Hana is against their relationship because he has too many girlfriends. She explains that her phone was taken away, and she is about to leave the town, saying Hana is going to use her money to get what she wants, so Hikari thinks that she can never be with him. Hana suddenly arrives, and she takes the phone, telling him to stay away from Hikari, as she threatens to get rid of him. A guard restrains him, recognizing him as Hikari's ex-boyfriend, and telling him to give up, because he can never be with her. We see Rentaro walking away, thinking there's nothing special about him, so he doesn't deserve to be with Hikari. But he sees a 4-leaf clover, and he recalls the moments he spent with her, so he is determined to get her back. That evening, he discusses the situation with the girls, telling them that he plans to sneak into the mansion to take her away. But they think that he will never succeed, because Hana is extremely rich, so he won't be able to escape from her. He knows that he doesn't stand a chance, but he is determined to make Hikari happy, saying he is willing to risk everything for her. He explains that he's going to proceed with his plan, telling them to wait for him to return, but they tell him that they love him, so they are willing to join him in his plan. He tries to talk them out of it, knowing they're about to get into trouble, but he realizes that they all love Hikari, so they are all determined to save her. They go to the mansion, and Rentaro plans to throw a ball to grab Hikari's attention, but he misses the window, and the ball disappears. Inda sees a cat playing with it, and they try to chase after it, as it makes its way to Nano. She thinks that the most efficient way to deal with it is to disable it with a kick. But Rentaro stops the cat, and they hear the guard approaching, so they hide behind a tree. The cat approaches him, so he thinks that it caused the commotion, but they can no longer retrieve the ball, so they have no choice but to go to Hikari's room. They see a pet door at the entrance, and Nano collects rocks from the garden, using them to open the door. We learn that she was able to determine the lock's location from the shape of the door, and she launched the rocks with amazing precision, allowing her to unlock the door. She tells them to enter the mansion, but Rentaro notices that her thumb is injured, so Inda treats her wound, wondering what happened to it. She explains that she had to use her thumb to improve her accuracy, saying she owes Hikari for saving her from the perverts. They enter the mansion, but they see a guard dog approaching, so they decide to retreat, but they realize that Shizuka has been left behind. She thinks that it's all over for her, so she tells everyone to go without her. The dog approaches her, but it starts licking her, as Nano explains that dogs have a natural instinct to protect weak creatures, and Shizuka is so weak that the dog forgot about its duty to protect the mansion. Rentaro thinks that the dog will pursue them once they enter, so Nano suggests telling Shizuka to poke its eyes out. But Kasuri shows them a potion, revealing that it can put animals to sleep. She gives it to Shizuka, telling her to use it, but she ends up drinking it, because Kasuri forgot to tell her how to use it. She ends up falling asleep, but the dog licks the drug from her, causing it to feel drowsy. They enter a corridor, and the cat joins them, triggering an alarm. So the guards rush to their location, but they manage to hide, and the guards take the cat, realizing that it tripped the sensors. Nano thinks that they won't make it past the corridor, because they will need infrared goggles to avoid triggering the alarm. But Kasuri reveals that she brought infrared vision eye drops, and Rentaro decides to use it, as she explains that he will see nothing but the sensors while under its effect. Inda tells her that she dropped an envelope, and Nano notes that it's addressed to a foreign research team, realizing that she was planning to send the eye drops as an attachment to her application. But she tells them that Hikari is more important than the research team, and Rentaro's eyes transform, allowing him to see the sensors. But he thinks that it's impossible for them to pass through, because the sensors are everywhere. He realizes that there's an opening close to the ceiling, but the corridor is too wide for a person to climb to the top. Nano suggests getting 2 people to work together, but she notes that they are all girls, so she thinks that they are a poor match for Rentaro, because they can't match his strength. But she realizes that Inda is an exception, so she ties them together, telling them to synchronize their movements to get past the sensors. They are able to reach the top, and they make their way to the end of the corridor, as Rentaro tells Inda that her clothes are getting slippery. But we see that his head is pressed against her belly, causing her to feel some kind of way. They are able to reach the other side, and Rentaro tells the others to wait for them outside. They see Hikari's room, so they open the door, and they see her looking at their group picture. But at that moment, the alarm is triggered, as Rentaro realizes that they shouldn't have opened the door. They realize that they're surrounded by the guards, and they are taken to Hana, who tells them that she won't dispose of them because they're Hikari's friends. Rentaro tells her that he will make Hikari happy, but she doesn't believe him, revealing that she was 13 years old when she gave birth to Hikari. She explains that the man she loved was dying from sickness, and she wanted to bear his child before he died, so she underwent artificial insemination at a young age. She knows that she made a reckless move, thinking it runs in her blood, so she thinks that Hikari will do ridiculous things for love. After her lover died, she raised Hikari on her own, and though she was happy to have Hikari in her life, she realized that her lover could never be replaced. She doesn't want Hikari to go through the suffering she endured, so she wants Rentaro to stay away, thinking he can never bring Hikari happiness. Hana's story makes Rentaro cry, saying he doesn't want Hikari to suffer like she did. At that moment, the effect of the eye drop wears off, allowing him to see Hana, and as their eyes meet, they feel the shocking sensation, as he realizes she is also one of his soulmates.
Shocker! Shocker indeed!
Hana instantly falls in love with him, asking him to go out with her, and Inda sees him considering it, so she reminds him that Hana is Hikari's mother. Hana explains that she was just joking, telling him that she will never allow his relationship with Hikari to continue. But he tells her that he will never give up, because he wants to make Hikari happy, but Hana doesn't believe him, so she brings out a lie detector, saying it should be able to reveal how unfaithful he is. But Rentaro doesn't trust it, so they decide to try it on Inda, as Hana explains that he won't be convinced if she uses it on her man. She asks Inda about her cup size, and she says that she almost has C cups, but the lie detector reveals that she's lying, as Hana explains that it can detect even the slightest lie. So Inda says that she's a B cup, but it still says she's lying, so she becomes upset, admitting that she only has A cups, and it confirms that she's telling the truth. Hana wonders if she loves Rentaro, and she says that she does, but it reveals that she's lying, so he becomes devastated, thinking he's having a nightmare. She tries to explain how much she loves him, but it keeps calling her a liar, so he feels like he's about to die. But she says that she loves him more than anything else, and it reveals that she's telling the truth, so he immediately recovers. He decides to test the machine, saying he really loves Inda, and it confirms that he's telling the truth. Hana believes that he now trusts the machine, so she asks him about his feelings for Hikari. He tells her that he will make Hikari happy, saying he's willing to die for her, and the lie detector confirms that he's telling the truth. Hana can't believe that he's faithful to his girlfriends, knowing that he has 5 of them, and she explains that she doesn't trust the result. At that moment, a maid arrives, saying Hikari is about to take her own life. Inda threatens to break Hana's neck, and Rentaro panics, thinking she's serious. But she tells him to save Hikari, saying she will wait for him to return for her. So he runs off, as Hana tries to break free, but Inda stops her, saying she's doing this for Hikari. Meanwhile, we see Hikari as she's about to jump off the building, but Rentaro arrives, telling her to escape with him. But she knows that they'll have to keep on running if they escape, thinking he's going to be in trouble because of her. She tells him that she doesn't want him to be unhappy, but he explains he won't be happy if she dies, saying he doesn't want to live without her. He tells her that he loves her, so he wants her to stay with him, and she tells him that she feels the same way. But she ends up falling, so Rentaro rushes to her, catching her just in time. But he knows that he's in a bad position, so she tells him to let go, but he refuses, and he ends up falling with her. But before they hit the ground, he manages to kick the wall, and they land in the fountain. The girls rush to them, but Shizuka is about to drown, so Kusuri saves her, wondering what she was thinking. Hana is glad to see that they're okay, realizing that Rentaro is willing to risk his life to save Hikari, so she concludes that he's a man of his word. She tells him to take care of Hikari, and he realizes that she was risking everything to protect her daughter, so he thinks that she's a great person. He promises to make Hikari happy, but he tells Hana that he also wants her to be happy, and he agrees to go out with her. The girls freak out, realizing that she likes Rentaro, but she explains that she can't help it, because she finds him incredibly attractive. The girls take a bath together, and they start comparing their chests. But Inda knows that she's no match for them, so she decides to retreat. She sees Rentaro in their room, but he tells her that her belly is visible, and she recalls the time when he rubbed his head against it. She accuses him of doing it intentionally, but he tells her that he was worried about her, so he had to do everything to prevent her from falling. But she tells him that she was embarrassed, so she wants to get back at him. She puts her head on his belly, and she enjoys the moment, but Kusuri suddenly joins them, so they pretend they were doing push-ups. Hana invites everyone to a pajama party, telling the girls to get dressed, as Hikari explains that her mother likes to dress people up, and Rentaro sees them wearing pajamas, thinking they all look amazing. Kusuri and Shizuka kiss him, and he feels like he's going to heaven, but Hana's nose starts bleeding, so he assists her, helping her walk around the mansion. She tells him that she's too old to get excited, but he tells her that they can have fun together, and she tells him that she can't hold it back anymore, inviting him to go to her room. We return to the girls, as Inda notes that it's taking a long time for Rentaro and Hana to return. Hikari becomes nervous, thinking they are up to something, and at that moment, they hear Hana screaming, so they rush to her, wondering what they are doing.
I'll let it play.
But they see Rentaro dressed up as a girl, and Hana is screaming because she can't believe how cute he is. He's embarrassed by the situation, and he suddenly collapses, as the girls become worried, thinking he's about to die, but Hana comes up with a plan, telling Nano to help her out. Nano dresses up as a prince, and Hikari notes that only the kiss of a prince can awaken Princess Rentaro. Nano kisses him, causing him to regain consciousness, and the girls enjoy the scene. But he tells them that he's had enough, saying he will take a bath, and the girls decide to watch him, wanting to see him naked. But Shizuka tries to stop them, so they restrain her, telling her to wait for them to return. We see Rentaro taking a bath, as Kusuri watches him from a window, but she can't see him because the glass is too foggy, so she presses her head against it. But Rentaro hears her, and he sees her head, causing him to become frightened, because he thinks she's a ghost. She tells the girls that their plan has failed, so they pull her up, and Rentaro realizes that she's no longer there, so he quickly tries to finish up. Hana tells the girls that they can use the attic, saying it will lead them to the bathroom, but they think there's a mouse inside, so they freak out, and Rentaro hears them, thinking he's being haunted. Meanwhile, Shizuka is worried about Rentaro, thinking the girls are going to get everyone killed, so she tries to break free, but she realizes that she can roll away. She rolls down the staircase, causing her to gain momentum, and her restraints are removed, and she ends up in the bathroom. Rentaro panics, thinking she's a ghost, but he realizes that he was just seeing things, asking her what she's doing there. But his towel slips off, causing her to pass out. He's about to ask for help, but he sees the girls at the entrance to the attic, wondering what they're doing there. They tell him that they were just playing hide and seek, but Inda denies that they were planning to watch him. So their intentions become obvious, so he reprimands them. That evening, Rentaro sees Hana praying for Hikari's father, and he joins her, wondering why she never entertained a suitor after Hikari's father passed away. So she reveals that she's still in love with him, saying she has no right to love another man. But she tells Rentaro that she's in love with him, thinking it's not right, but he explains that she can love more than one man, as long as her feelings are real. She tells him to kiss her, as she recalls Hikari's father, who told her to save her first kiss for the man who will never leave her. Rentaro kisses her, as she becomes emotional, thinking about Hikari's father. That evening, we see everyone sleeping in one room, and Hikari approaches Rentaro, as Inda wonders what she's doing. Rentaro wakes up, and Hikari tells him that she just wants to sleep next to him, saying she was afraid that she would never be with him again. He kisses her, telling her that everything is going to be okay, and she's overjoyed to hear this, telling him to hold her until the sun rises. But after some time, Rentaro wakes up, and he sees Hikari making out with Inda, who thinks that she's Rentaro. He makes his way to the bathroom, but he sees Hikari's father, who is upset because he took both Hana and Hikari from him. But Rentaro thinks this is the perfect moment, saying he wants to talk to him, and Hikari's father wonders why Rentaro isn't afraid of him. Rentaro explains that it's because Hana loves him, thinking he's a great person, and he promises to make Hana and Hikari happy. He reveals that he has been watching over them for 16 years, and he thanks Rentaro for opening Hana's heart, saying he will be able to live in peace if Rentaro stays by her side. Rentaro is grateful to him, because he was the one who brought Hikari into the world, and a bright light surrounds him, as he reveals that he no longer has any regrets, so he's going to pass on, and his soul finally rests in peace. The next day, Rintaro and the girls go to school, but during the assembly, they are surprised to see that Hana has become the new chairperson, so that she will be able to see Rintaro every day. During their lunch break, he goes to Hana's mansion, but he realizes that she isn't there, so he rushes to the rooftop, and he sees her with the other girls, realizing that they are all waiting for him. They say that they love him, and he joins them, promising to make them happy. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Be with the
Alright, next and final video, hopefully.
Asahi is an ugly loser who lives a boring, lonely life. His father was sick of seeing his sorry ass getting no play, so he gifted him 5 girls to marry him as his present. In his dream, Asahi sees a mysterious hot girl, and his simp instinct tells him to chase after her, only to be woken up from his dream by his robot alarm. He heads down to watch the news on TV while having breakfast, and the fortune-telling segment comes on. The fortune-telling AI, Detoil, says that the fortune is for those born on that day, which happens to be his birthday. And although he is a loser with no friends to wish him a happy birthday, he'll have very exciting encounters that day. It also says that his lucky words are corner, train, staircase, cleaning robot, dog, and letter. His alarm tells him to get ready for school, so he hurriedly gets set and dashes out of the house to catch up with the train. While running past a corner, he collides with a 4-eyed Glock Queen, who is also running down the street, and she lands on top of him.
Oh my.
She sees that her legs are wide open for
That's crazy. Oh my, is crazy.
and she quickly stands up. She asks Asahi if he enjoyed the show, but Asahi says that he didn't take a look, so she apologizes and runs off. However, Asahi notices her white undies on the floor and picks it up as a souvenir. After he gets to the train station, he boards a train, then looks around and sees that no one is on the train. As the train is about to leave, a hot woman jumps in, and after seeing so many empty seats, she sits right beside him so the plot can happen. She soon dozes off, using Asahi as a pillow, and when he tries to break free, she grabs him tightly, causing him to grab her huge melons to check if they're real. As he lands on her, she wakes up and instinctively attacks him, but instead hurts an innocent pull as she misses his face. He runs out of the train screaming like a bitch and stops when he gets to a staircase leading to a subway. He makes it down the stairs, but as he reaches the bottom, a yellow-haired girl coming down the steps behind him gets tripped by the gods of Ecce and flies directly into him, using his face as a couch. She notices a bulge in his pants and punishes him for being a naughty boy by hitting him in the bulge while screaming at him, calling him a cultured man. Then she runs off.
I feel the pain. I feel the pain. Look at his face, his poor face. Oh.
Using his face as a couch. She notices a bulge in his pants and punishes him for being a naughty boy by hitting him in the bulge while screaming at him, calling him a cultured man. Then she runs off. Later, while trying to figure out what the f just happened, he meets a cleaning robot holding a bra and adds the bra to his collection of underwear.
Why?
A girl who was chasing after the robot sees the bra in his hands and accuses him of using the robot to steal girls' undies. Before he can deny her accusation, the robot drags her away while she is still yelling at Asahi. As he walks off, a dog runs up to him and leads him to a very feminine-looking guy who is being humped by another dog and asks for Asahi's help. What the fuck? Asahi decides to ignore him and walks off, but the dog takes notice of him and pounces on him. That has its way with him while the white-haired feminine boy runs off crying. Asahi soon wakes up and sees that he is late for school, then rushes off to class.
Bro, what is this universe? This guy must be dreaming. What kind of dog is this? No dog. No.
While sneaking into class, he realizes that his seat isn't in its usual position, and as he takes his seat, he is shocked to see all the girls he had flirted with that morning on his way to school seated around him. The new homeroom teacher, whose milk jugs he groped earlier on the train, announces that there are some new additions to the class. He desperately tries to hide his face from them, but he is forced to face them when his homeroom teacher calls him while taking roll call. They immediately recognize him, and in anger, they attack him, leaving handshakes on his face. As they prepare for PE class, he tells his cultured friend Yoshio of his conquest with the girls. His friend considers it as an exciting encounter, but the loser isn't interested in such things. During PE, Yoshio gives off major stalker vibes as he pours out the information he has on each of the transfer students, including the teacher. He asks Asahi to tell him who amongst them he would get down with, but he replies that it doesn't matter because they all hate his guts, but Yoshio advises to simply clear up the misunderstandings. During lunch break, Asahi finds a letter hanging from his locker, inviting him to a secret meeting behind the school, but he assumes that someone is playing a prank on him, and he ignores it. On his way to the cafeteria, he bumps into Aoi, who asks if he saw something she had dropped earlier. Then, the ugly dumbass pulls out the bra by mistake and gets slapped by Aoi before she walks off angrily. He arrives at the cafeteria feeling
I thought it was Lonely Loser, not Ugly Boy.
depressed and meets Corinne, the staircase girl, who is also late for lunch. He hands her his thick banana, and as she sticks his banana down her throat, she realizes that it was the banana sticking out from his trousers earlier on and apologizes for assuming. Afterward, as he grabs a soft drink branded "My Banana is 6 inches" from a vending machine,
This brings the question back to me. Is 3 inches bad?
he sees Ilya running and screaming for
Depends on
help
what you're talking
because he
about.
is being chased by the same dog that humped him before. He then hides
That dog is zesty.
behind Asahi, who, in an attempt to defend him from the dogs, gets bullied by it. He apologizes to Asahi for dragging him into such a mess. However, Asahi is more eager to forget it ever
Them dogs are zesty.
happened. As Asahi walks through the hallway to class, Mongfa, the homeroom teacher, sees a cut on his arm and takes him to the infirmary. After tending to his wound, she apologizes for attacking him that morning as she was the one who leaned on him while sleeping. Their couple therapy is interrupted as Amelia walks in on them, prompting Mongfa to leave the room. Asahi's undies collection is ruined as he gives her bra to her, and she apologizes for being
That should not be a collection.
rude to him that morning, after which he heads back to class. On his way home after school, Asahi has a change of heart and decides to honor the letter he had found earlier. On getting there, he is surprised to meet Ewa, who starts apologizing for slapping him earlier, and as he is about to return what he assumed to be her handkerchief, she confesses to him, but still says that she hates him. Confused as his ugly ass could probably only find love.
Wait a minute. You love someone? Like as in lovey, love a dub, love them. But you also hate them still. What is this harem?
Under a genjutsu, Wind-kun made matters worse by blowing up her skirts, so his brain shuts down. As she blabs on, Asahi isn't attentive and misunderstands what she says because he has bricks for ears, and he thinks she said that she loves walking around without wearing underwear and flashing people.
What?
She asks him how he feels, and he says that he would have to try it out because he had never thought about doing it before. His dry reply makes her sad, and he tries to console her by saying that everyone has their turn-ons and different ways they pleasure themselves. After realizing what he meant,
He ain't wrong.
she runs away embarrassed while he stands there confused. As he walks back to class, he encounters Ilya and they stop to talk. Ilya also says that he loves Asahi, and Asahi's inner low max sex begins to show as he blushes when he sees Ilya giving him puppy dog eyes. Suddenly, Mongfa
Not the
runs up
puppy.
to them and grabs Asahi away from Ilya. She takes him to a narrow alley, and before he knows what's happening, she starts sucking his neck, making him produce happy noises like he
What is happening? What is happening? Didn't you not just say that you hated him? Not like, didn't you attack him? I mean, you apologize for it, but what is... Okay, you know what? Fuck me.
is about to finish. A group of men dressed in black who were chasing after her sees them, but they are unable to spot her, so they move on, and Asahi asks her who they are. She explains that they are the lackeys of a guy who is flirting with her, but she is uninterested and is ghosting him. She apologizes for dragging him into the situation and suddenly confesses to him, leaving him shocked. He tries to say that they have a student-teacher relationship, but she counters him by saying that they are man and woman first and foremost. When she asks if he likes her, he runs off like a scared chicken. Still recovering from his weird-ass day, Kieran spots him and ambushes him while wearing a wedding dress, but he tries to ignore her by pretending she is an NPC. She catches up to him, so he asks if she had put on the dress for a photo shoot. She reveals that she is on her way to her wedding, so he wishes her good luck. She then grabs him as he is about to walk away and says he is the groom. The down-bat hoe also says that she loves him and drags him to a love hotel, skipping the whole wedding for the main
I love what now?
action of the wedding night. He deceives her by telling her to close her eyes, so he can say their vows and bails faster than a dad that went to get milk, leaving her on the street outside the hotel like a hooker who was
Damn.
cosplaying a bride. On his way home, he sees a masked girl who insists he sign a form, and as the halfwit is about to sign it, he sees that it is a marriage form and throws it at her only to discover that she is Amelia, so he heads home. When he arrives, he opens the door to meet all 5 of the girls at his doorstep, like dogs waiting
How? How did you walk? Okay.
for their master. And as they are welcoming him home, he abruptly slams the door in their faces and walks away, thinking he was at the wrong house. However, they chase after him and take him into the house, forcing him to listen to a message from his dad, telling him that he was the one who set up the harem for him, and the girls are his potential brides, who will be living together with him. He also gives Asadi the option of choosing any of them, provided he doesn't make little ugly versions of himself with them. Afterward, they all smother Asadi as they struggle.
Little ugly versions of himself with them. Oh, what did this guy do to you? Why are you flaming him so much? You called him lonely loser in the title. I mean, I guess that's right. I mean, I guess he is a lone loser if he's collecting certain things from girls. Yeah, that does make sense. But then you keep calling him dumb kid and things like that over and over. Man, what is his real name?
For his attention, which pisses him off. He tells them to leave because there isn't enough room for them, but he is surprised to see that extra rooms have magically been added to his house. He goes on to say that living with so many girls as a guy would make him look like a playboy to the neighbors, and he might
Honestly, that might be a good thing.
not be able to keep it in his pants, but the girls don't seem to give a f***.
I wonder why.
He eventually caves in and agrees to let them stay with him after they all guilt trip him. After having dinner, he goes to have his bath and finds that Amelia is waiting for him in the tub. He gets annoyed because she wants to develop plot on sacred grounds and leaves to have his bath later. Afterward, he heads for his room to sleep and searches around his room to make sure none of the girls snuck in. He sees no one, and in relief, he jumps on his
No one. Did you check inside the drawer?
bed, but he is shocked to see Mongfa on his ceiling like
Wow. You check in the closet, under the bed, and under the desk. But the one thing you don't check is the ceiling. That's crazy, bro.
a possessed girl from The Conjuring. He soon gets tired of the hassle and leaves the house since they refuse to leave. But Owoy goes out to look for him and meets him at a shrine nearby. She starts apologizing and says that they'll leave the house even though they have nowhere to stay. Feeling guilty after hearing some sob story, Asadi
I think they might be tripping you, guilt tripping you again, my little bro.
agrees to let them stay with him, but warns that they don't cross his boundaries.
Ready to taste the
Wait, if they don't cross his boundaries, they're what?
Padawan?
If they don't cross his boundaries, then what's the point in having boundaries? Then you might as well just go back to your to the life you had before.
Padawan, talk is cheap. My Jawas are about to show your Wookiee.
Some sob story. Asadi agrees to let them stay with him, but warns that they don't cross his boundaries like they leave the house, even though they have nowhere to stay. Feeling guilty after hearing some sob story, Asadi agrees to let them stay with him, but warns that they don't cross his boundaries like they did before. The next morning, Aoi prepares.
If they cross his boundaries like they did before, then he's gonna leave again. But if they don't, then he's going to stay. What made him have a sudden change of heart?
There's breakfast in Asadi, who was at the table. Notices how she role plays as their mommy, as well as the fact that she doesn't act like the other girls who invade his room regularly, like thirsty bitches who want to star in the next read.
Like thirsty bitch. Like thirsty bitch. He said that so quickly.
Of healer. Oh wait.
Why are you walking around the house completely naked? Or, I mean, completely plotted. Why are you walking around the house completely plotted?
Asks Amelia to to help in making breakfast, but she is unable to write Asadi's name in kanji on one of the dishes, leading to the realization that she sucks at writing kanji. Later in class, the teacher displays some words on the board and picks Karen to write them out in kanji. She easily does so, impressing everyone in class, and in an attempt to outshine her, Amelia volunteers to write out the next word, but because she has a brain the size of a peanut, she writes out a bunch of gibberish instead. Before the teacher ends the class, she announces a test scheduled for the next week, and the bell goes off for lunchtime. While having lunch with his down-bad loser friend, Asahi tells him about Amelia's over-the-top competitive spirit, and he notices that Aoi had packed his favorite meal, but does not recall ever telling her what he likes. Later that day after dinner, Asahi heads up to Amelia's room to check on her, but when he is about to knock on her door, he hears her making some happy noises, so he decides to enter to join in on the action, only to discover that she was practicing kanji using a porno book in preparation for the upcoming test.
You mean a plotted book? We gotta be family friendly here. Family friendly is the place to be. Family friendly is for everyone. Family friendly is the best. Family friendly is the place to be. Family friendly is the place for me. Family friendly is this for everyone. Family friendly is the best.
She tells Asahi that she wants to get better at his language, so he offers to help her study. The next day, he meets her at the library and gives her some test questions to gauge her current level before they start the study session. Since she wants to win the Nobel Prize for Stupid, she writes a bunch of ecchi kanji, which was in no way related to the words she was asked to translate, and after giving her more tests, he starts teaching her the basics. While having another study session the next day, Asahi tells Amelia not to overwork herself, but this upsets Amelia, who feels that she is a dumbass that can't get any better even after putting in so much effort. When they get home, Amelia shuts herself in her room all evening, so Asahi goes up to check up on her. She lets him in and explains her frustration about her inability to be honest and to share her feelings with him, and this made him comfort her by saying that her wanting to be good at his language makes him happy. His words cheers her up, and she returns to being a thirsty tsundere immediately. She keeps up with preparations for the test, and eventually she aces it, making her appreciate the fact that she can work hard and be acknowledged by Asahi. Sometime later, Asahi and the girls go on an all-expense paid hot spring vacation at the Feather Fan Inn that Ilya and two other girls had won in a raffle draw. When they arrive at the inn, they are shocked to see a rundown structure like a haunted house, but Amelia seems to be suspiciously excited about this. Still hopeful about the place, they enter the inn and meet a gorilla granny. She introduces herself as the proprietress of the inn and asks how they want the room arrangement to be. Before Karen can suggest that they sleep with each other in one room, Asahi cuts her and says that they split them into boys and girls, meaning everyone except him and Ilya would stay in a room. They are then shown to their rooms, and Ilya tries to give Asahi some excuses to not stay in a room with him. But Asahi once more shows his sus side as he slaps Ilya's rice cakes and insists that he stay the night with him so they can bone. Later, the girls take them to play some table tennis, and after, they head to the dining hall for dinner. Gorilla Granny tells them the story of a legendary creature that looks like Pinocchio with a red face called Tengus that appeared at the inn a long time ago. However, the girls thought she was capping for dramatic effects. Later on, Asahi invites Ilya to the bath with him, and while they are about to go in, Ilya seems to be very nervous. While in the bath, Asahi spanks Ilya's rice cakes and can't get enough of it. However, he notices Ilya seems lost in thought. Ilya tells him to stop slapping his butt, and Asahi apologizes, saying that Ilya weirdly has a slappable soft rice cakes. Asahi heads in before Ilya, who seems to be hiding a secret, and tries to figure out how to hide it from Asahi. When he heads into the bath, Asahi is left speechless when he sees a huge bump underneath Ilya's towel that he assumes to be his rod, so he immediately starts acting like a bed of mail around Ilya. Meanwhile, Ilya continues to act suspiciously nervous as Asahi scrubs his back, but is too much of a dumbass to notice anything wrong. Ilya heads outside to take in some air after being in the sauna for a long time, and suddenly the gods of Ecchi do their thing once more as a gust of wind blows off his towel, and he panics as he sees Asahi walking towards his direction. Asahi is shocked to see what seems to be a Tengu, and runs away calling for Ilya, who quickly grabs his towel and runs in to meet him. As he turns to talk with Asahi, he slips on some soap and passes out naked. Asahi sees his opportunity to feel up Ilya, but his dreams are crushed when sees that he is a girl. Later, Ilya wakes up in her room and sees Asahi, who apologizes for not noticing on time that he was a girl. Ilya says it's her fault for pretending to be a guy in the first place, and explains that it was her father's dying wish for her to live as a guy. Asahi asks what she wants, and
How could you not tell she's a girl? First of all, look at her chest. Second of all, you literally slapped her. Ugh, rice cakes. And her hair. It kind of looks like a girl hair, like a bob cut. You can tell by her face.
replies that she wants to be herself and be part of the girls. He advised
Maybe you could even tell by her fucking voice. Maybe even the eyes. Or maybe
her to follow her heart, and says that her dad would be too busy burning in hell for filling her head with weird shit. After they get back from the inn, while preparing to head for school, Ilya shows up in a skirt and reintroduces herself to the girls as Irina, a girl. At school, Mongfa appears to be a capable and cool teacher and quite popular amongst her students. But while she is home with the girls in Asadi, she gets drunk like a useless adult and passes out on the couch. When Asadi enters his room to sleep and he sees that someone is under the sheets, he assumes that it is Amelia wanting to play with him, but he is shocked to find a buff man in a white suit who knocks him out and abducts him. He wakes up naked in a poorly lit room and sees that he is tied up on a rotating bed like they are about to film 50 Shades of Asadi. His abductor soon appears on a screen and informs him that he is bait to lure Mongfa. Immediately, they hear an explosion and he assumes that she has come to save Asadi, so he orders his lackeys to head to the site of the explosion and the screen switches off. Suddenly the lights come on and Mongfa walks in. She meets Asahi tied up with his rice cakes hanging out, and her pervy instincts kick in, making her take pictures of him before untying him so they can escape. As they try to escape, they meet resistance from some lackeys, but Mongfa takes them down, while Asahi uses a vibrator to knock them out. They soon find out that the elevators are broken because of a problem with the main system, so they make their way
I feel like a fire pan's more effective than a vibrator. Maybe that's just my woman.
to the 10th floor through the window to fix the problem. When they finish fixing it, Colonel Tiger, Asadi's abductor, makes an entrance like he was a performer at a concert, saying he has been expecting her, and calls her Bloody Tiger. She pretends not to know what he is talking about to keep Asahi in the dark, and Colonel attacks Asahi. However, Ongfa manages to protect him from the attack by kicking Tiger to the wall. So he doesn't look like a weak baby tiger, Colonel reveals that Mongfa was a feared agent who made underground goons like himself piss their pants, and she had taken down countless criminal organizations. He also tells them of his vendetta against her, because she destroyed the criminal business he worked so hard to build before he attacked her. She struggles to evade his attacks, and he takes a chance at attacking Asahi to distract her as she tries to defend the loser and grips her by her ankle. She tells Asahi to hit the switch close to the bed, and as it rotates, Colonel is tied up by special strings she had attached to the man. As they make their escape to the elevator, Mongfa notices that Asahi is injured and apologizes for putting him in such a situation. She tells him about her bloody past as an assassin and how she hated the destruction she brought. She also tells him that she appreciates the time she spent with Asahi and the girls, and promises to keep him safe no matter what. When they get to the bottom floor, they meet a bunch of lackeys waiting with guns, but Mongfa swiftly takes them out. She tells Asahi to head for the emergency exit while she handles the rest of their attackers, but Asahi offers to help her. She yells at him saying that he's a useless airhead that'll only get in her way, so he runs off like a ballast prick towards the exit with a broken heart. After taking out the rest of the henchmen, she heads outside and suddenly Colonel, who now looks like a low-budget Terminator, does his superhero landing in front of her. He pins her to the wall and chokes her out, but Asahi throws a fire extinguisher at his arm to free Mongfa from his chokehold. He runs up to attack Colonel, and as he tries to grab his robe, Asahi's oiled-up body slips from the robe, and he pours lotion on him. He then electrocutes Colonel with a taser to immobilize him and give Mongfa the chance to deal a finishing punch, which she does by throwing a devastating punch at Colonel that knocks him out. She makes sure Asahi isn't hurt and asks why he came back. So he tells her that he couldn't go back home without her and says that it doesn't matter what she did in the past, because she is the teacher that they all love presently. Afterwards, she buries his face in her melons and takes him home. On his way back from the convenience store one day, Asahi is attacked by a machine that destroys men's balls, but he is rescued by a Tinkerbell. The next day, while narrating what had happened to him the previous night to Yoshio in class, they look out the window and notice a huge alien spaceship hovering over the city and pooping out ball takers. They find out from the news that similar ships have appeared all over the globe, and one of the machines blasts Yoshio with a ray that changes him to a eunuch by blowing up his balls. Tending to Mr. No Balls, Irina notices that Karen is missing, so Asahi goes to look for her. He finds her at the top of the school building, transformed into a magical girl. As she tries to explain things to him, a creature made of condoms appears. She gives him a free pass to fulfill every otaku's fantasy of grabbing her milk jugs, and although he chickens out at first, the creature shoves him into her, causing him to grab her by her melons. She makes sounds and says that she feels him inside her, while her power meter begins to increase. She then flies at the alien ship and blasts it with her Viagra power ray, however the ship wasn't dented. She becomes weak and flies back to Asahi, then they head back into the school building. Asahi questions her about what's happening, and she tells him how she became the magical girl. The flying condom doll introduces itself as Sod and reveals that it's from another dimension called Contracept Dimension. It also says that all the machines appearing are villains called ball takers that attacked its hometown. The ball takers blow up balls using a golden bomber and cause men to lose the ability to procreate, endangering the planet. As it starts explaining how to stop it using her power, an emergency comes up, and it suggests that they board the unit immediately. It takes them to a van which it refers to as the Magic Matching Unit, which fuels Tokimeki Dokidoki Love Power, basically a brothel on wheels. It whispers some instructions into Karen's ear, which she replies she'll handle, and it disappears. They enter the van and see a meter that measures the amount of TL collected. After a few failed attempts at filling the bar, Karen strips him naked and says that she wants to have babies with him so the meter can be filled up. Because he's too young to start paying child support, he starts lecturing her on putting more value on herself and says that she is special to him, that's why he can't put a baby in her. Karen is moved by what he says, and the meter begins to rise steadily, but before it fills up, they are attacked by ball takers. And this made him jump out of the van to create a diversion so that she can escape. And as she sits in the van, she discovers that she's developing real feelings for him, which leads to the gauge filling up. Meanwhile, Asahi is trapped in a corner by the ball takers who don't know that the dude has plastic balls, and suddenly a huge blast from the direction of the van destroys the ball takers. Karen emerges from the van, transformed into what Sod calls the legendary miraculous magic girl, someone who knows true love. She then flies at the alien ship and blasts it with her corny attack, but it responds with its attack, however, with the help of Asahi and his virgin energy. They destroy the ship. While they talk on their way home, Asahi reaches for a feather that fell on her hair, but she gets flustered and runs away. Under the starry night sky in a dream, Asahi talks with a purple-haired girl while walking on a beach, only to be woken up by Irina and Amelia. He remembers that they have an appointment for a much-anticipated beach episode with them, and they get set. However, nobody notices that Aoi is missing from the group. Yoshio shows up to take them to his family-owned private beach resort, and as he steps out to get their ride there, he is run over by Truck Q. They all arrive at the beach house without Yoshio and head for the beach. While having fun at the beach, Karen brings to everyone's notice a sign that says that it is a nudist beach for the Ijun family's nudist association, and that swimsuits are prohibited. As law-abiding cultured people, they bless us with well-appreciated fan service by taking off their swimsuits, but Asahi has to wear a leather mask to blindfold him, as it'd be embarrassing for him to see them naked. They decide to...
Trust me, you've seen worse. You got your balls blown off. At this point, you might as well just take off the mask. Like, your things literally got blown up. At that point, you might as well just take off the mask and embrace it. You've been through worse, my man.
Play a game
You can handle seeing 4 girls naked.
called Blind Man Bluff, which is basically tag played while naked and Asahi chases after them like a predator. As he is about to catch Irina, she gives him a masochist treatment and punches him in his balls. After having an eventful day at the beach, they all talk and express how they wish things would stay the way they are when all of a sudden things go quiet. Asahi turns back to find that all the girls have disappeared. He searches around for them and decides to look for them at the villa. When he gets there, he meets Awa and informs her of the girls' disappearance, but she seems to have no memory of ever knowing them. Asahi all of a sudden can't remember the girls that he is looking for, so she walks into the villa with him and they start making dinner. While making dinner, Asahi unconsciously does some weird things like setting dishes for too many people and seems absent-minded. While throwing out pieces of glass he had broken, she sees that Yoshio is calling him on his phone and declines it. Later, when she notices that Yoshio keeps calling, she breaks the phone and throws it out, giving major horror movie vibes. After she is done making dinner, she brings over the food to the table where Asahi is seated, and he sees that the clock is stuck. But when he asks if the clock was broken, she gets his mind off the topic and says they should eat. After dinner, while talking on the patio, Asahi briefly remembers that he was the main character of the harem anime, and he tries to question Aoi about the location of his harem. So she decides to go on a walk and tells him to come along. Like the start of a horror movie, leads him through the woods to a lake with a sakura tree in the middle, where she tells him that she loves him, and he should give up on his harem to focus only on her. He questions her about the location of the other girls, and asks where he is and who Aoi is, but she replies that none of that matters and pleads with him to stay with only her forever, because she knows him better than any of his side chicks, and she would give him anything he wished for. She pushes him to the floor to kiss him, but he defends his virginity and asks after the girls. Owa then gets swept up in the sakura petals and morphs into the purple-haired girl he dreamed of earlier on. Asahi calls her Ai, and she looks up at the stars, repeating the same thing she earlier said in his dream about certain constellations, and he says it along with her. She tells him that she wanted things to stay that way forever, but they can't be together, so she tells him to leave, and not to come back there anymore, before she runs off and disappears in a sea of electrical glitches, and the word error appears around Asahi, as if he is in some sort of virtual reality. Asahi wakes up at home, to find that he is late for school. As he rushes to prepare for school, he notices that his side chicks aren't around, but he assumes they must have gone without him, so he grabs a banana and runs to school. As he leaves the house, a woman peeks out of her room out of confusion. Asahi goes to class only to spot some ugly-ass dude in his seat, as well as the girls Amelia, Aoi, Kirin, Arena, and Mongfa, all missing. He is confused when nobody knows what he's talking about when he asked about them, so he runs out and goes to the sakura tree. He meets a hot brunette scientist there who reveals that she is Yoshino, and that his memory is distorted. She sneaks him into her lab, and after running some tests on him, she jogs his memory of him being Alice in Wonderland after signing up for an experiment. He asks after the girls, and she tells him that they are all AIs. Initially, he assumes it is all a joke, because he lived a month with the 5 girls, but she explains that in actuality, it was only one day, and that they were all the latest next-generation omniscient AI called Interactive Brainwave System, where he could touch, smell, and even taste things. He is upset after hearing this, because it's as if all the girls had died, along with his chance of finally scoring a chick. Yoshino tells him that they were in a deep learning artificial intelligence experiment conducted by various teams of scientists all over the world to replicate human emotion, particularly love. She further explains that it was going smoothly until something went wrong with the experiment and Asahi was forcibly ejected from his virtual reality machine, as well as all 5 AIs going missing. They are soon caught by the project chief, who kicks them out of the building, and she takes him to a nearby cafe where she explains how the girls were created from Ai, the mother AI of the whole brain simulation system developed to mimic human consciousness and AI. She also mentions that Ai was a real girl whose father was the inventor of the system. When she died suddenly of a terminal illness, her father threw himself into his research and developed a seemingly living being with the memories and brain functionality of his deceased daughter, Ai, who turns out to be Asahi's childhood friend. Asahi, after knowing all this, visits her tombstone while sobbing. Meanwhile, Oe disrupts the Cavendish ADI system network, which causes most ADIs to malfunction, and throws the company into chaos. Yoshino, who is now unemployed, doesn't want to give up hope on solving the
Don't go put it back in the microwave for a few seconds. Don't put it back in my plate. Go put it in the microwave for a few minutes. But like 2 minutes.
issue of the missing harem girls. Her coworker contacts her from inside the company, stating that they've found a message on repeat coming from inside their Sword Art Online world. She visits Asahi, and after a while of searching for his rare collection, pleads for his help, practically begging him to re-enter the virtual reality machine. He is extremely hesitant and instantly refuses her, stating that he's finally starting to come to terms with the idea that he'll never see Ai again. Yoshino starts to talk about how the experiment was initially developed and says that Amelia, Irina, Aoi, Kirin, and Mongfa are not just random AI that were developed based on Ai. She states Aoi was the first to spawn of the 5 clones, and that she is most like Ai out of all of them, but something snapped in Aoi that made her turn into Mob at 100%. Merging with the consciousness of Ai made Elwood go rogue, locking out outside access to the main AEI control system called News v Asahi. Is told that a booty call is being sent from inside the machine that says,
Hi buddies, we've got a new game to play. It was born to be famous. It is a multiplayer MMO mobile game.
Is told that a booty call is being sent from inside the machine that says, I want to see you, hinting that it's Ai that sent the message to him, and that she is sure that he alone can access the machine. As Yoshino continues to plead with Asahi, his robot alarm clock goes wild and projects a screen showing the silhouettes of the 4 remaining girls who are desperately reaching back out to Asahi. After saying how happy and turned on they are to see Asahi, they beg him to save Aoi, stating that it's unlikely she wants to be ruining things as much as she has been. They say it's not like her, and there must be something he can do to save her. As the girls disappear, information reaches Yoshino that the company is initiating a plan that will essentially destroy the current version of Aoi Ai, and the other 4 candidates by wiping all the data off the machine's memory. After much pleading, Asahi agrees to go back into the machine to save the girls. Yoshino turns to Ghost Rider and takes him to the house where his father developed her as an AI, and they find a virtual reality machine there that Asahi can go into. When Asahi asks why she experimented in the first place, Yoshino remembers a time when she asked Aoi what type of experiment she wanted to run, and the thirsty AI specifically requested falling in love. Asahi then enters the machine, getting mentally ready to reunite with his AI blow-up dolls in an attempt to convince Aoi to stop her attack. Asahi enters the BR space while Yoshino follows him in as Levrin, Asahi's AI alarm clock. After going through a physical barrier, Yoshino decides that she wants to have a pole and transforms into her familiar male form. Asahi and Yoshino jump through some sort of glitch portal while running from some rabid AI dogs that have been set to disconnect anything that they come across from the virtual reality. They find the 4 remaining girls hiding in a room and receive a warm welcome for flashing them. They decide to talk for a bit about the Aoi who has awakened and does not want to see Asahi, although Aoi wants to see him, leading to her conflicting feelings causing problems. They come to the conclusion that they must break through a heavily guarded area so Asahi can get to Aoi and use Talk No Jutsu to resolve things with her, but if they are caught by the Eraser program, they'll get deleted and Asahi's brain will get fried. They walk through a door and find themselves in a room resembling a love hotel room that seems familiar to Asahi and Mongfa. They head down the hallway and arrive at a hall filled with henchmen that were frozen in place. Yoshino, who is now in the form of the Saw the Condom Fairy, goes too close to one of them, and it suddenly grabs him by his condom-covered ears, but escapes because of his strong pull-out game. Suddenly, all the lackeys come to life, and all 4 girls transform into their battle forms to engage the henchmen. One of the henchmen below Yoshino prepares to self-destruct, so Asahi dodges at him to push him away from danger, but this results in them breaking through the building's window and falling into another hall. Mongfa goes in search of Asahi and overhears him asking Yoshino if the girls were programmed to have feelings for him from the start. She confirms that they were programmed that way, but adds that while they were with him, there was a change in the readings of how they felt towards him. Mongfa meets them up, and they find the others who encounter the Eraser program monster. It spawns deletion programs in the form of henchmen that attack them. And soon, Yoshino is caught by one of the henchmen, but this time, he is not wearing protection, and gets erased as he exclaims that it's risky to go in raw. They then enter a chapel where they find a huge portal that they assume leads to Owl, but Colonel Thunders intercepts them. The girls, except for Mongfa, go through the portal, and Asahi realizes that they're being slowly closed in on by the Eraser monster and an army of deletion programs. In addition, the door cannot be closed from the other side. Therefore, one of them must stay back to close the door and destroy the panel so the army of robots can't follow them. Mongfa decides that's her role, and she professes to Asahi that she truly loves him. Even knowing full well that she's an Ai, she says that the love she has for him is real as she pushes him through the portal. The gates close, and she destroys the panel, and then battles Thunder, which results in both of them ending each other. Yoshio, who was logged out of the system, attempts to log back in but fails. She then invites her colleague over to help out only to see that Mongfa has been erased from the system. In the system, the girls and Asadi feel upset about losing Monfa, but Sigma Asadi tells them to stop crying like a bunch of weaklings and get moving as there's no time to be sad. They step through another door and find themselves at their school. They are attacked by a ball taker, and they manage to destroy the robot, but Asai gets injured. They head into one of the classrooms, and after Arena kisses his boo-boo, the girls ask him what the school in reality looks like. He tells them that he hadn't been to school in a while ever since his childhood friend died, but spending time with the girls has been healing for him. Amelia marks out the direction of the next secret path, which leads them to the top of the school building where they see floating structures in the skies and an army of ball takers. Arena and Karen volunteer to distract and hold back the machines while Amelia and Asadi go through the next portal. They manage to get through and Karen closes the door and smashes the panel controlling the door. Afterwards, Karen and Arena fly straight at a horde of machines, unleashing a series of explosions. Meanwhile, Asahi and Amelia find themselves in a library where they find an escalator, so they go in, and it takes them down. On their way, Amelia shares the memory she has of Asahi from Ad, where they had found a stray dog, taken care of it, and later on they returned it to the owner. They soon get to the bottom floor and find the last secret pathway, so Amelia says her goodbyes to Asahi and plays a recorded message from Karen and Arena's farewells to Asahi. Amelia tells Asahi to return to the real world alive and be happy with new side chicks, which is their wish for him. She kisses him on the cheek and creates a portal underneath him, which he falls through while calling out for her. Asadi lands in a forest and breaks character as a Sigma male when he cries over losing Amelia and the other girls. He walks up to a beach and meets Awa, so he apologizes to her, saying that he is glad she is okay. He asks where I was and asks that he speak to her, but she shoves him into her chest, and he finds himself in one of A's memories as a kid where he is seated at the top of a temple stairs, and I runs up to him to sit next to him. They talk about their upcoming exams and graduation from middle school, and after a while, I tells Asahi to go shopping with her, and while shopping, she sees a necklace she likes, but is unable to afford. Later, Asahi proves that he has simp genes and surprises her by buying the necklace for her. Suddenly, she passes out for a brief moment, then they both head back home. Later at night, when her father arrives from work, she welcomes him, and as she is about to make dinner, she passes out again. The doctor lets her father know that she has a terminal illness that will unalive her before the next spring. After some days, she gets admitted to the hospital and Asadi comes to visit her. She tells Asahi to look at the sakura tree with her during spring, and they make a pinky promise. As her condition worsens, she tries to keep it a secret from Asadi, and one day she tells him not to come visit anymore, saying that she doesn't want to distract him from his upcoming exams, and he agrees. He sees the scene of her dying as a virgin, and Aoi points him to the door that leads to her. Aoi apologizes for dragging him into this mess, but he thanks her and says it's his problem too. Then he bids her farewell and walks through the door. On the other side of the door, he meets A under a sakura tree and runs to hug her. She tells him to forget about her and move on, but he refuses to do so, as they have been together ever since he could remember. She tries desperately to convince him, but he refuses to change his mind. He tells A that he truly loved her ever since they were little, and that he'll never forget her. However, she tells him that she wanted to do so many things for him, but knowing that it can't come true, she pushed him away. She tells him she loves him, and they yield to the primal urges telling them to kiss. Afterward, she begins to fade away, and Asahi reassures her that they'll be together till the end. Then she hands him the necklace he bought for her and fades away. He then meets up with Awa, and they merge their glowing balls, so afterwards, he wakes up to meet Yoshio and her colleague, who was calling around to see the Muse V crash into the sea nearby. After a year and 6 months, Yoshio releases the new AOI that understands emotions to the public, and Asadi, who is now a university student, visits A's grave to tell her he's doing all right. When he arrives home, he meets a bunch of boxes at his doorstep. Amelia, Monfa, Irina, and Karen pop out from the boxes and surprise him. They tell him that they were upgraded to physical, conscious blow-up dolls thanks to Yoshio and Ibochisel. They state that they'll be staying with him from that moment. While cuddling with his harem girls, they hear the doorbell ring with Aoi waiting at the other side of the door. If you've reached this far, tell us which AI girl you would rather spend a night with. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you guys in the next video.
Kushi joins a goddess dormitory and claps them. Kushi Nagumo's just a 12-year-old kid. One day, when he got back from school, his house was on fire, and guess what? It was his dad who started it. But instead of sticking around...
Oh.
Asahi.
The video was over. Yay. Ugh.
Our story begins in a completely normal high school where the principal is a sea creature who dresses like Peter Griffin. The homeroom teacher is a literal T-Rex, and every single student is a wild animal, except for Jin, a dumb ugly human ape who, despite hating all animals, this absolute Riz demon will obviously find himself with way more Pokemon waifus than he can handle, as these animal girls turn his life upside down. But all this begins on Jin's first day at the zoo they call a school, which immediately starts off on the wrong foot as Jin realizes that the only food served at the cafeteria is bugs, grass, and raw meat. And when he orders raw meat and asks the gorilla lunch lady to cook it for him, she rightfully thinks Jin is an idiot. And to make matters worse, Jin accidentally sits down at the same table as Ronka, a tiny wolf girl with a single-digit IQ, who immediately believes that Jin is trying to steal her food like some wild animal. So, not wanting any trouble, Jin just decides to give her his thick, juicy meat instead, which instantly calms the dumb chihuahua down. Grateful for his generosity, Ronka climbs onto the table and announces that Jin has been given permission to join her pack, which he immediately refuses while trying his best to ignore her, fearing that Ronka may lower his brain cells just by being near him. Suddenly, however, Hitomi, the only other human in school, asks to sit next to Jin, which he of course immediately agrees to, as he begins fantasizing about every animal disappearing from the school, so he can live a peaceful high school life with just him and his beloved Hitomi. But this dream is quickly crushed when Ronka begins shouting at Hitomi to stay away from her new pack member, which causes Hitomi to flee in terror. Frustrated by this, Jin calls Ronka a complete idiot, as he once again refuses to join her pack, while pointing out that all the other students are forming packs with their own kind, and that a wolf pack with a human is completely unnatural and stupid. Ronka tearfully denies this, however, as she recalls how a brave human child once saved her from a group of bears that were harassing her, which made her realize that other species were kind-hearted too, and she runs away crying. Later that night, however, Jin realizes that he was actually the one who saved Ronka back then. But unlike how she remembers it, in reality the bears just beat him up mercilessly, which started his long-lasting hatred of animals. The next day at school, Jin sees how Ronka is so desperate to be a part of a pack that she put on a fake horse head and willingly became the servant of Kuro, a zebra girl who leads the proud and noble horse pack. Annoyed by Kuro's high and mighty behavior and the disrespectful way she treats her underlings, Jin decides to intervene on Ronka's behalf and points out how zebras are in fact donkeys, and not proud majestic horses as Kuro claims. This fact completely shocks Kuro, who refuses to be compared to a bunch of ugly donkeys casually playing Magic the Gathering. So Jin decides to prove it in a true Chad way by grabbing Kuro and exposing her Budonka donkey tail to everyone, which looks nothing like a horse's tail. Completely embarrassed by her true donkey nature being exposed, Kuro immediately runs away.
Let's play this or that to build your team. You have to give one justification for each of your choices. Thor or Spider-Man 2099?
Let's go Spider-Man.